think it's Maddie's fault.
Spicka Span Show.
Every time Maddie shows up, there's technical difficulties.
All right. I think we got it.
Yeah, we're live. We're ripping. Only
good?
8 minutes late.
Can everyone hear us? Foof.
Let me fix this light. Deep breath. Hey. Shake
That
it
was-
off, Kyle. Let's get after this next point.
Dude, Kyle, how sweaty. Kyle, now you got to do the intro.
Welcome to the show. Went smooth as always.
Well, I'll tell you what. After all that talk, I'm just glad that you had. Were you getting sweaty?
I'm soaked.
Yeah.
Okay, that light's better now.
Pressure, dude. Pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure. Maddie, I don't know how you do it whenever there's like a little glitch or, I don't think Go Sports has issues like we do ever. But every so often there'll be like overload because there's too many people watching or something like that. Or you guys got this like backpack full of cell phones trying to make sure you guys have enough of info. But like, man, it is stressful when everything Kyle's there early. We're getting things set up. And then all of a sudden one input just didn't work. And it's not like anything's been changed.
We call that when the gremlins set in. But anytime it's like, whatever, dude. You guys coach teams. What do you say to your guys when everyone's getting rattled when shit's not going well? Hoppers are breaking, getting penalties. It's like, hey, I need you to focus right now. So I just try to yell that to myself when shit hits the fan, and then just try to get all zenned out and just do what I can. But I don't fix the technical stuff. That's somebody else's stuff. But
Full
yeah,
panic.
you did. Hey, the show's on. We're only, it's all good.
Kyle, float me over to the corner over there over Maddie's head.
Over here?
Yeah, there's more space over there.
Yo, I brought the Charlie shirt out for the World Cup show.
Dude,
The HORMESIS Charlie shirt.
brought that out. Archie was wearing that on the Intel session the other day. The Charlies, dude. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
What that shirt should say. If you know, you know. Well, yeah. Hey, good work, Kyle. Thanks for getting it down, Maddie. Thank you very much for showing up to help out with the show. I think this is gonna be a fun one because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. We've got obviously World Cup prep, but more importantly, that we got the WCPPL wrap up where we were all coaching multiple teams. Kyle got one dub. Maddie and I got skunked. But you coached a total of 6 teams between the 3 of us, and in every single division that's offered there, and that's pretty cool. And then then we're going to talk a little bit about World Cup because there's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
Points, which doesn't it helps everybody except for the team that's in first place. Well, even though I think they have the series locked up. And yeah, we're gonna let's rip. Really quickly before we kick everything off. Thanks to everybody who sticks with us. I know that a little bit of technical difficulties here and there.
These are coaching notes?
Those are my coaching notes. Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I found the clipboard. I'm like, that's not those.
As long as it works.
Caveman coaching notes. I have to pull those things out so I can show Maddie that I can have crackhead notes also.
Yeah, these are what my notes look like after events.
I like your notes, dude. Pate Smith Law, Gen X Global. We got HORMESIS and Alex FRAIGE Jr. over at BFP Gear and the NECTR Bros. Everybody really helps out. We talk about it a lot. Supporting paintball, supporting your favorite brands, your favorite people, your favorite personalities, and most importantly, is support the brands that support those people in those industries, and they're the ones that are going out of their way to make sure that you guys can consume content that you're consuming. Go Sports sponsors, make sure you guys hook them up and show them love for sure. Shop online at BFP Gear, buy your pods from Gen X Global. They do have a promotion that I think they've been pushing pretty hard for World Cup. Make sure you guys get your pods. The NECTR boys also, and anytime that there's a non-endemic sponsor to the show or into paintball, it's really important that we support those guys as well. Pate Smith Law for any your needs for insurance claims. If you guys have been affected by any insurance claim, Maddie, I think you know a lot about what Pate Smith does too.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, just real quick, Pate Smith Law. He's hardcore paintball player, fan, supporter. And if you need somebody to represent you against your property insurance company, he's your guy. Whether it be wind, flood, but with all these hurricanes and, there's just a lot of that. And if you're a homeowner or anyone out there and understands how nerve-wracking it can be. So, but yeah, Pate Smith, awesome, dude. Good guy.
Mm-hmm. Also, just that, he mentioned, he's like, look, even if you think you're not sure if you should move forward with a claim or whatnot, he's like, he'll give you guys a cost-benefit analysis for free. And so you can just give them a call and it's great. Again, paintball people helping paintball people within the industry. And, Arfon and Gen X Global and Junior from BFPGear.com have been extremely helpful to not only Dynasty, but to everybody in paintball. And then, Junior does sponsor the question of the day for the show. So we've got a question that will populate up here from Junior and Gina over at BFPGear.com. And then NECTR, you guys, those guys are rad. If you haven't seen the episode with them on it yet, that's definitely a good nod to anybody who has an entrepreneurial instincts and they want to get going. It's a pretty cool story how they came up with those energy pouches. I'm proud of those dudes for grinding that out, man. Yeah. That was such a funny, all right, so we grabbed a little bit of this powder and put it in there, and we put it in there and we sewed up by hand some tea bags that we cut, and then, we were awake for like 2 days straight off of some of them because we mixed up the amounts, microliters and micrograms and milligrams. So, Maddie, what did you think about? What did both of you guys think of the WC at SC Village? What did you think about SC Village as a venue?
You want to go first, or would you like
Sure.
me to go first?
I mean, mine will be, I guess, quick. I thought it was a good change up. I think both have their benefits, but I liked it. I mean, I felt like the turf felt like a little bit newer. So obviously I wasn't playing, but maybe it's a nice change up for the players. I don't know, Ryan, did you feel like the turf was a little bit different?
The turf, I think, was a different type of turf. It seemed like a little softer, maybe. Obviously, some of it was brand new on those top two, field 1 and 2. I've been playing on the turf on the bottom field since they started it. There were some, patches that hadn't completely fit up, but AJ, I agree with AJ, and the whole setup was a lot better than I expected.
I think as a vendor, maybe if I don't know, we could have been on the outside perimeter of that turf area, so people are walking through everything. Kind of how it is when we do at ASG might have been a little bit better. Other than that,
force you to enter and exit through the gift shop. Yeah, because you can kind of enter in. Well, field 2, you had to walk through the vendor village pretty much. But yes, there was I thought the vendor area was really nice.
Yeah,
it was on turf also.
Yeah, I liked it much better that it was on turf and not originally on that downhill slope by those other fields.
Yeah. Yosh played all his games down there the first day, and he's like, dude, I didn't even know this was up here. He's like, this is way nicer than in that rocky parking lot down there.
Yeah. We had all 4 of our games with the Narcos D3 line on the WCPPL field down there. It's the same field we did the joust and the duel on.
Okay, yeah.
Which was actually kind of dope because our staging area was right there, so it was all super convenient as far as getting to your field. And everyone was on the same field. I didn't have to walk another field as far as angles. But it was away from the vendor's village.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to go try to get something to eat or see somebody in a break, it was a bit of a walk. But then with Mortal Enemy D4, we were staged by the Raza booth, so I kind of had to walk through the vendor village to get to all the fields. But it was, I don't know, I thought it was cool to have it at SC Village. I mean, ASG is really cool too. Loved the event, man. I really like... it's so crucial for paintball to have a strong regional league, and I just love what Mike's done. And it was really cool to have seen the progression over the years, because there's some of those D4 teams would whoop that ass if they played the lower ranked pro teams 15 years ago, dude. Some of those D4 teams are legit. So the fact that paintball keeps progressing, the level of play, the tactics, and the strategy. I mean, it's a long conversation, which we can get into whatever everybody wants to get into this afternoon, but.
Yeah, D5. I'm D5 now. I don't remember that being D5 4 or 5 years ago. It looked like brand new people. D5 now, it's well developed people that can shoot with one-handed, reloading.
Dude, D5 looked like walk-ons. Like, it looked like you played a walk-on event and then decided you want to play a tournament. That's what D5, but there used to never be a D5. I mean, shit, when I started playing, it was just pro and amateur. So now that we have all these different divisions, it was
pro, amateur A, amateur B, novice, and rookie.
Not when I started. It was just pro and amateur. That was it. There wasn't even AM B. Then they added an AM B and then just kept adding all these different divisions. But it's just cool, man, you know, because there's like clinics to take, there's, you know, coaches, there's the webcast, there's all these documentaries and videos and, you know, guys with the cool highlight reels that have been, you know, there's just a lot of ways to kind of, to watch what a really good paintball player, the form looks like. But this is every time I coach teams, I'm sure you guys say the same thing. I'm like, form just gets you through the door. Like that's cool that you look great, but it's what happens up here is that's the difference in all the divisions.
Yeah.
I mean, because like you had said, you go look at the D5 players and you're like, damn, they can shoot left, right-handed, they can run and shoot, but you know, what decisions are they actually making? That's the difference in who's successful at the event in those divisions and then throughout the different divisions. But it was also nostalgic to have it at SC Village just because, you know, that was like the OG paintball field that we, you know, but we used to train on all the time back in the day, or one of them at least. So it was cool. Yeah, and then shout out to Mike, man. Again, it is incredible. You can't overstate the importance of an awesome, highly competitive Lions Den regional event for the overall health of the game and tournament level.
How sweet was it too that all three, maybe all four, I think it was mostly all three fields were webcasted, the entire thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, which was actually extremely, extremely helpful for me when I was coaching a lot of teams. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. Like, so on that first.
You coached 4 teams this weekend?
Yeah, I coached.
Holy crap, dude!
I wasn't at all of the games. Like Friday, I was coaching Academy D3 and TJ Bastards and Premier. So that's 8 games right there. So a couple of them overlapped. Luckily, I got to give a shout out to Major on Academy. I showed him how, young kid too, I showed him how to scout, like how I'd like it scouted, and everything's done like to a T, perfect, which is helpful. So, but I wasn't able to make it to all those games, so I would be able to like go back on the webcast, and even if the live wasn't currently running, I could go, you could go on their YouTube account and watch, you know, what happened 4 hours ago. And the way it was laid out was like you could see the entire breakout.
That's tight.
Yeah. So which helped me too on Sunday, so I could go back back to the Tigerware booth and sit there and open up my laptop and then scout just from there, because the whole thing was on the webcast.
Yeah, the webcast was really nice too, and I want to say a big shout out to Mike, not only for like you said, Maddie, making sure that paintball is alive regionally, also taking over the Texas League, making sure they're playing over there. But even more is like, this is absolutely bonkers, you know, because I was talking to Mike in the bleachers for a little while. He sets up, you know, I don't know how many teams are out in Texas. Let's call it 90 teams. I think he said 80 or 90 teams out in Texas. Sunday they tear down. He starts driving from Texas, well, in the bunkers, back here to California, and then has to set up, you know, the second largest event series in the nation outside of the NXL. Big shout out to Mike, and Tracy too. But also big shout out to Bobby, dude. Bobby sets the events up, tears them down, into the head ref, you know, and then he's gonna fly out to NXL to set those things up. He's the nicest dude ever.
Yeah, Bobby's great. Bobby's
great. He runs security. He's in the parking lot. He's out in front of the pro pits. He's setting up the fields. He puts his helmet on and goes out there and his head ref. Dude, he does everything, and that dude's the man.
I love when Bobby does security at the NXL events sometimes, because I'm like, I'll roll up. We'll be up there, you know, right there at the crack of dawn with our Go Sports crew, and you know, we typically have like a pass that lets us get to where we need to park, because like we got to go to work, you know, it's the stuff that needs to get ready. But sometimes it'll be, you know, somebody that's staffing, you know, it's like Bobby doesn't have to be out there letting people in to certain spots they're supposed to be in. But every time I roll up, I'm like, "What's up, Bobby?" He's like, "What up? Good morning, Maddie." I'm like, "Why are you out here, dude? You have people for this." And he's like, "Hey, man, sometimes you got to do these jobs." And I was like, "All right, man, way to keep it all organized." He's like, "Don't even worry about the pass, brother. Just go over there and park as close as you need." I was like, "Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate it." And also shout out to Mike, because like the scores didn't get posted Well, so we didn't know what field we were on for Mortal Enemy. And then Brett from our D3 line, he's like, he came over. He's like, dude, I think you guys are up right now. And I was like, and then I didn't yell at, but looked at over the guy that was, one of the smart guys that's always like, we're here and this is it and this is our spread. So we go over there, sure enough, and we were about to play the Brawlers, and it was, the Mortal Enemy made Sunday, and it was like good for them, to make Sunday. And we're about to play a team that went, fifth in the, in the elimination one. And so they're all flushed. I'm like, let me go talk to Mike. I'm like, hey, stuff wasn't posted. We didn't know, can we get like a little bit of time? He's like, how much time do you need? I'm like, 5 minutes. He's like, make it 6, and I was like, I appreciate that. And then we won that game, which was tight. So,
hey, nice.
Yeah. Mike, I like how he runs it so fair too. I mean, there was a captain's meeting. I think you were sitting there too on the first day. Yeah. And he's like, look, man, I know that cheating goes on. You guys all know that you do it. Everybody does it. But if you get caught for something like that, don't create a big deal and make a fuss. Just accept it. Take accountability for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that last week. I mean, that's really funny that came up. Like the confidence over hubris kind of thing is like a lot of people are just so it's like they're just delusional in the sense that I can't stand it when people get caught cheating and then complain about it. They just deny, they just try to die on their swords, It's like, dude, just, wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah, wear it, move on. If you did it, you did it. Don't this isn't, you're not getting life in prison here, pal.
Yeah.
You just wear it. If you cheated, just wear it.
It was a major, bro. Let's just go right back out there and move on,
So what do you guys think about the way everything played out and the layout played out?
I like the layout. It was a standard paintball field. When I saw it, kind of ended up playing like I thought it was going to play.
Kind of reminded me of paintball maybe 2-3 years ago.
Well, it reminded me when I actually talked to Mike for an hour and a half that night, just talking shop about a bunch of stuff. And brought the layout up, and I was like, kind of like it, man. It's like a OG layout from the mid 2000s. He's like, brother, that's what I was going for. People were staying away from that middle early on, but then I started this middle play worked every single time. Then teams had to adjust, allowed my guys to get going. Yeah, I liked it. There was enough there, but it wasn't a trickery field. It was what I like about fields like that is that the best team's going to win.
Yes.
The team in the sense that it's not the most talented team that wins all the time. It's the team that has the best execution on, and not just game plans, just pure fundamental paintball.
Yes.
Control lanes, make moves through gaps when they need to be made, win gunfights, don't engage in sloppy, dumb gunfights you shouldn't be in when you're up bodies, all that, just all of it. So it was just an execution game plan, or an execution of just the paintball principles field.
Totally.
And that's what happened, So it's like Academy beat us in D4 because they just played better, more controlled, won a 3-1 game, and my guys were running in their guns and they outsmarted us. My dudes were gassed, they weren't, so it was just and then afterwards I was like, they were better than us. It's similar with the D3 line for Narcos, we almost made it. We barely, first event I worked with those dudes, we didn't win a game. And then we had a couple months, and then they went 2-2 and almost made it to the wild card round in their second event for D3 line. But we got beat in a game. I'm like, they just played better paintball than us, man. We can't expect to go out here. We can't be disappointed in taking a loss when they just outplayed us at every function. They shot more bodies than we did. We couldn't shoot anybody's on the break. They won more gunfights than we did. It's like, what do you think is going to happen when that happens? So, buck up and let's move on to the next game and win it, which we did and almost made it. But, so I really liked the layout. I thought it was a standard ass regular paintball field where the best team's going to win.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Standard paintball field. And just so everybody knows, like a standard field is it's not something that has a ton of different dynamic options. It was literally there's the back center had a big zone on the inside and the outside of the first entry level bunker on either side. So the first bunker outside of the back center, would be the 2 and the 4 bunker essentially.
Yeah.
So they could see that, and then that's it.
Yep.
Then the back center doesn't really have any shots after that, and then then the interior guys could step out, and those guys could be the safeties for the snake in the snake corner, or the Dorito 2 in the Dorito corner, and then after that it's basically you'd run one guy wide right, one guy wide left, either 2 guys in the back center, or everybody was doing the exact same thing.
100%.
The back center, the only thing that was The only thing that really limited that center, which made it the reason that like there weren't like these crazy run throughs or really exciting stuff going on, it was because there was that gigantic brick at like the 30-yard line. So that was like where usually there would be a center tower there. And so that blocked out a lot of shots. So you kind of make it far on one of the sides, but you couldn't do any huge busting dynamic moves to the middle. I had one drawn up.
I had one drawn up too. But the move that was working a ton, I thought, Ryan, and I don't know if you utilized it much, but Lionel from our D3 line. Mm-hmm. So, and he's fast and not that big, and but you could get up to that 50, and if a team was pushing on you on the D side and making that jump from the 100 to the 200, there's that big gap if you make it all the way up there, dude. I ran that with Mortal Enemy and the D3 line, and literally the dude made it alive. I think I ran it like 9 times total between the two teams. Dude made it there alive every single time we ran it, and then other teams had to start adjusting, and if you get up there. And then if we shoot the body on the D side off the break, you can switch to the snake side and really put a lot of pressure on the guys in snake one and make them think about you, and then set it up that the other team's got to come get you. It ended up working out great. Only problem is sometimes we get that body up in there and dudes would die and lose gunfights around him, and then he's gonna get bunkered and it's gonna hurt. So that's paintball.
That's paintball, and that's the whole thing about the center. That's like always, and which I always like. I'm sure there's some people in here that are watching this who I've yelled at for running up the middle, on a delay. And it's like, look, the middle's great when you're 5 up, or the middle's great when you like go in there on like if someone's like crashing down one side or the other. But the middle's not great if you're just like, I don't really know what to do with my body, and I'm losing guys anyway on the outside, so I'm just going to go up there anyway. And the next thing you know, you leave the guy on an island, and he gets overwhelmed, and then you get bunkered.
Yeah. That was only a plan like off the break. Right. Like I wasn't like, make sure you get up into that middle, bro. Yeah. It was like, no, you're going there off the break and you're doing this job, and if this happens, then do this. But it worked out more than it didn't. But I wasn't definitely like, hey guys, it was more of like, hey, look to close maybe through the middle, but if we we lose the outside battles, we are absolutely going to lose these points. But that's also it was like an OG paintball field. Ladder snake, relatively easy to get there. You can kind of make it off the break a decent amount. But it was shootable a little bit, so you're incurring some risk there. But with those, those bunkers right next to it, guys that had good timing were able to get in there more often than they weren't. Yeah, you had to worry about that tower once you got in there, and but it made it fun to watch because there was there's real estate to fight over. It was multi-dimensional enough. It was great, man. Whoever designed that field did a great job. It was fun to coach on. It looked like it was fun to play. Games were good.
It was funny too because that. The D5 Lords team that I was coaching, the team we were playing the finals, the Silly Bananas. Every game I watch, they just run right up the Dorito side of the back center, straight up to that middle brick, and then go walk right into the center 50. And so the first point of the finals, I was like, hey, my 2 back center guys, just shoot directly back on either side of the other team's back center. Don't worry about the outsides. And the guy, he's 6'5".
He's tall.
6'6", and we missed him. And I was like,
the guy running up to the center was 6'6"?
Yes.
Off the break?
Yes.
Bro, I refuse. If you were over 5'6", you were not going up, or like over 5, maybe 7. You were not my guy that was going to make that move.
If you looked outside the back center, you could see his head coming up the middle. And I was like, how did we miss him?
Yeah.
He did it like a couple points in a row. We thankfully shot him a couple of times, but
I hate when that happens. You're like, you talk to him, you're like, this is the lane.
Yeah.
And then you watch it happen, you're like, hey, sometimes they miss their shots, dude.
Like going back to what you said too, like we had some mishaps through the prelims. We came back from almost getting mercy ruled from a 2-0 because in D5 it's 3 points mercy rule. Came back, won that match. And what I noticed is that guys were trying to like do all the heavy lifting by themselves, or just not doing worrying about just the simple things as far as like communicating, getting a good start off the break, focusing on just doing like the easy work in a sense. Like I think people are grateful to not have a field that was super chaotic that came down just to like a coin flip on certain things or certain moves. You could control a lot of.
But no, for sure. But that's the thing is that, look, you need to incur risk to win paintball tournaments, and you definitely need some luck. That's every sport, but I keep trying to get anybody I work with I'm like, for a perfect example with Mortal Enemy is I had this pretty badass snake player. His name's Del Rio. And he's pretty good, but he just loves to get in a really good spot and then get in a 50-50 gunfight. I'm like, bro, you are in the snake on their side. It's a 1-on-2 or we're up in a high body situation, a 3-on-1. And why are you getting in a 50-50 gunfight with this guy? You know, bro, like, dude, chill. You did all the work. You already shot 2 guys. When you trying to get a 3-pack every single time you play, like, I love that you're trying to do that, but that is a poor gunfight decision, brother. Like, just chill.
I tell my guys that too. I'm like, even D5 guys, I'm like, I'm not gonna gunfight any of you guys. Yeah, I'll get you later.
Totally,
I'm gonna get your homies, and then I'll come back for you.
We call them free kills for a reason, boys. Like, we're trying to get free kills out here. But that's kind of the thing, is that. But this is what I said. You know, when you watch the D4, D5 guys now, dude, the D4. This is no bullshit. The D4 and D5 dudes I just watched play this weekend are head and shoulders technically way better than, like, I would say 80 to 90% of the pros from 15 years ago. Wow. You know, like, they technically, you know, I'm not talking about the best of the best, but, you know, back in the day, the pro division, there was like 6 good teams. Yeah. And we just split wins, you know, like some got more than others, like the Dynasty.
Are they beating the 99 Ironman?
What's up? Are they beating the 99 Ironman? If we 99 Ironman.
Not in the woods, but maybe on airball.
They'd have a decent chance. I mean, but, you know, I mean, if you give the 99 Ironman, like, you know, me, David Williamson, Billy Wing, Mike McLaughlin, like, some machine guns, like, bro, we're shooting slingshots at each other back in the day. Give us some machine guns.
I'm not saying, all right, you guys.
But no, but guys, Ryan, so my point was, I think you stepped out real quick, but they are definitely beating the shit out of, like, I don't know, just pick any of the teams that were constantly finishing, like, 8th down, for sure. Like, I would put my money, I'd bet $1,000 that your team that just won D4, right? D5. Yeah. Whatever. I bet $1,000 that they would smoke any of the lower ranked pro teams from 100%, dude. Like, I put my house on that. There's not a chance.
It was funny to note too, like, going back to that. I think especially in D5, like, the other thing, they're not that far off fundamentally of, like, say D4. I think it's a big part is, like, the focus. So what I kept saying through that
100%.
I was like, guys, we only have just for these 2 days, please stop dicking around, just focus, just worry about this. So, like, when you leave this tournament, you don't feel like you could have done more. Stop joking around, stop going to walk around this place like that you're the best team, and just, like, pay attention and focus just for a few hours each time. And I'd be like, tie your shoes every match. Just make sure you tie your shoes. Just tie your shoes. Stop joking around.
Get fresh batteries in your goddamn loaders, you know? Like,
and,
have another gun ready to go, you know? Like, we got, at one point, anyway, dude. Yeah, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, there's so many good things right here that I think that a lot of, like, a good, like, just, there's just so many meaty concepts here that we're kind of brushing over that I don't want to get too behind on these concepts that I'm talking about, because one person mentioned also J-Tuck, and we talked about, like, the hero complex. Like, everybody wants hero. Kyle, you just mentioned something about buying in. And I kind of want, well, that's fresh in my mind because, Kyle, you just won, and I talked to you on Saturday, or maybe it was Sunday, and you're like, dude, you know, the guys were, like, not really into it.
Well, so it was same organization, but 2 different teams, but go ahead.
Oh, 2 different teams. Okay. Yeah. So just talk about that, like, the whole buying into, like, just, I mean, I say it, and I know that people will look you in the eyes and they'll be like, yes, I trust you, you know, and I also want to touch on confidence, because I had major lack of confidence issues with multiple players on multiple teams.
Me too.
And, like,
me too.
One of the things that, like, I think that everybody needs to realize is, again, back to that last conversation we had last weekend, you know, confidence doesn't just grow on trees, right? It's so easy to doubt yourself, and then as soon as that happens, the weight is on your shoulders. And it's like, disbelief is so easy to buy into. It's way more easy to buy into doubt and disbelief than it is to try to trick yourself into being confident. And that's where I think that a lot of people have a mistake over the confidence concept, and they end up falling into that hubris mentality where they're like, I'm the best, I'm way better than you, you're shit, I'm this, and talk shit and la-da-da-da-da. But it's not, it's a false, they're just putting on a false face. But I want to talk about buying in, you know, and kind of like we talked about it. There's some guys that just, like, they don't buy into this idea. And they're like, but you're just like, please, like, just trust me. Like, I've got this. So talk a little bit about that, like what you need to do to to kind of convince guys or get them off of or into the system. And then we'll talk about kind of like boosting guys up to build their confidence and just kind of go from there.
So I guess, I know that what I was talking to you about with that, and as far as this topic goes, was with my D4 Lords team, where I kind of felt, and also is a good example because we've dealt with a lot of this on Diesel this year, just more so like culture and vibe on the back end. And I'd seen, you know, I told them too, maybe this is on me because sometimes I can be like a little bit passive when stuff needs to get said that might not appease everyone or might get people a little bit frustrated. But I was starting to see like people were kind of at each other's neck a lot, and the vibe was down. And then also maybe if I was expressing things, I didn't feel like I was getting eye contact, or like maybe just didn't respect maybe what I was saying. So in the middle,
on Diesel or your division
D4 team, yeah,
for real,
yeah, because and it's interesting because their D5 team has had a lot of success this year. They were third in the series. They always won this last event, and they have a really good vibe. But they're younger kids, so they're kind of like, you know,
not focused.
There's something shiny, you know. So I'm like kind of
look at the shiny spoon over there.
Yes, yeah. The D4 guys were more just so like I could see, and I told them this is like there's like this dark cloud over you guys, and you're not having fun. We have to like break this. And told them at the end of the day, because they only played 2 prelim games, didn't do well in those games, and everyone's trying to do stuff by themselves, which this was a field where definitely teamwork was a big part of it.
100%.
So I could see, I think that hit them a little bit, and then they came out the next day and had a much better day. Tied one of their matches, but the second one they won out 4-0, and that was like their last event, obviously of the year, and then we're going to be like reorganizing it next year, so that might have been their last one together. So it was like, ended on a good note, where they like valued some different things, even though not making it out of the prelims. But you know, big thing there was just, I guess, trusting each other, and then understanding that, you know, regardless of strategy or fundamentals or whatnot, like if you have this negative connotation going in, it's like almost like universe is against you in different ways, and you'll get penalties maybe you shouldn't, or stuff will not go your way. So I think that was a big part of it. I don't know if that fully answered what you're asking, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Maddie, how do you get guys to kind of like believe in you and believe in, you know, everything that we're all talking about, and believing in each other? Just kind of like confidence, just boosting that and having that resonate out through the rest of the team.
Well, if I'm noticing that I mean, I feel that negative thoughts are team cancer and individual mind cancer. So the second that I see it, I immediately try to nip it in the bud as quick as I can, and then it's, you guys have been working with your teams a little bit longer than I have, but you know, it's like I had to have a big speech and I'll give props to my D4 line, Mortal Enemy, man. Like, dude, Mortal, they were incredibly demoralized after game 2 because we essentially threw away a big lead and then had a tie in the first one, and then we had a loss in our second match, and we only had 2 games that day. And I had like dudes that are my starters being like, hey, I need to sit a point even when they weren't tired, whatever. I could literally go through all, like, it was a lot of that. And so, I mean, I was grabbing guys by like the scruff of their necks, and I'd be like, look me in the motherfucking eye right now, dude. I believe in you.
Yeah,
I need everything you got for the next 2.5 minutes. Let's fucking go. You know, like looking directly at dudes and trying to, so it's like, and I just, as soon as I see that start to set in, it's a cancer, and you immediately need to cut it out. You know, so, and then on the Narcos D3 line, you know, we went 2-2 a lot better than we did at the first one, and I've worked with those guys a little bit more in practice than I have with the Mortal guys, so I kind of know those squad a little bit, but it was like a new squad as far as, you know, as far as getting those guys to kind of get teamwork together. But then you got to know what to say to each person, because one person you need to say a certain thing and hype them up in a different way, and then another guy you have to say in a different way. But then another thing about being a leader is like you just it's about force of charisma and the information that you're giving them. You're trying to put nuggets, turn them into seeds, and plant that in a human's mind. Problem is, at a tournament, you know, it's not a seed. In practice, sometimes you're planting seeds. When it's at a tournament, I'm trying to hold up billboards, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, hey, motherfuckers, like we are talking about this. Yeah, like, hey,
Miracle Grow on that shit. You're like, come on, remember what I told you like 10 minutes ago? I need that to like be working in real time right now.
but I feel like, but it's interesting because if you go, when I go watch Kyle coach or you coach or Corey or Dan Lee, whatever, like all the pro coaches, it's different if they've been working with their squads. Like, cause we talk about buy-in, like, yeah, man, one of my favorite sayings, and I tell this to my guys all the time, it's a Japanese saying, it's about business. Small incremental improvements over time create a drastic competitive advantage. And then, and so you do that in practice, but then it's another thing that I tell the guys, I'm like, look, we're here at the battle. We're at the war. Okay. We have sharpened, we've made the axe. We've sharpened our weapons. We've formed our armor and our mental tenacity. And we are here with that. So we can't really work on all that. So, you know, because that's what practice is for. We are now here at the fight. So I'm going to occasionally get real fucking loud occasionally, you know, and I need everyone's attention when these moments happen. And so sometimes, but everyone, this right reason why I brought it up is pretty much because, you know, you've done it. Hey, Narcos, you know, where you're like screaming, you're like, listen up, you know, and it's like everyone, all the good coaches are it's all the guys that know how this is done. You know, it's like we've been in these wars before and so you kind of get everyone's attention and then utilize an example that's happened, you know, where it's like, and then you have basically their attention for 15 or 20 seconds. So you have to hold that billboard up and give them the information that they need to go out to that next engagement, that next battle for the overall war. Again, we could talk about this the entire show.
You
but
know
it's
what
like,
would be rad with now this new, like the advent of all these like new AI deep fakes and like the things what you can see all these videos. What would be sweet is if you could get Maddie's face as a general, you know, Maximus Decimus Meridius, like running down the lines, like giving a speech to the Narcos D3 line, and then you got Kyle like ramping up the lords or the TJ Bastards. You got me giving the Omega guys and giving all the Narcos guys like this "I believe in you" speech.
Yeah.
But we're doing it from like the back of a lion or like on this dragon or some shit.
Yeah.
dude, Ryan, honestly, and this is like, I don't know, we should probably make this happen with the media guys, but just follow all the pro coaches around for a weekend, just film them, and then put a montage of them yelling at their team together. Like that would be, we'd have to put a huge parental advisory sticker on that thing. But I mean, there was like Ryan, when you were, when you guys, you know, you were whooping everyone's ass and then you started getting your ass whooped because you got that gun penalty. It started mentally affecting your team and your snake side was getting shut down. And then there was 3 points in a row, and you're on the precipice of a mercy rule loss after you've been again whooping that ass for 3 games in a row, and then you just let them have it. You were like, came in, I think you might have kicked a trash can or something, and you were just like, stop dying out of the motherfucking snake, you know, like you were hitting your clipboard, grabbing dudes. I was like, yeah, Ryan, you gotta let him have it because that's what it needs to. But sometimes sometimes you need to say it a certain way, and sometimes you just need again hold the billboard up and being like, stop dying out of the snake, guys. You know, but you have to say it with that force of charisma because, again, we have a microsecond to understand and digest that knowledge, and it needs to happen now. And if we can't get that switch right now, we're going to lose this game. And if we lose this game, okay, well, that might mess up more. You guys are already in, but maybe that messes with your momentum going into the next one, you know? So, and you guys had time on the clock, but it was
time on the clock, and we'd been there before. Like, all the teams have been there before. I think I had the same conversation with the Narcos line, like, get into the snake, like execute what needs to be executed because there's only so much time and the Omega guys, man, we were playing so well, everything was going so well until it wasn't, and that's the funny thing is like everybody's been down and we've come back, right? It's buying in, and I saw on both squads there like guys on the field kind of start to deflate, and I have to explain to them, I'm like, dude, hey, have you succeeded in this position before? Because I saw you do it 2 points ago or last match. Remember when you got into the snake and you shot 3 guys? There's nothing different, nothing stopping you from doing the exact same thing again and executing the exact same way.
Yeah.
So don't let it be a mental block. You can't do it or you're just having a bad point, because the point that I saw when you absolutely destroyed guys, that was an hour ago.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened between now and then. And it's you gotta, like, obviously sometimes the frustration is like, oh my God, it's there. Like, people are yelling it. And actually that's a great idea because we were talking about it a second ago. And I mentioned to my Narcos guys more than I did to the Omega guys, but it's like that hero complex. I'm like, look, everybody wants to be the hero, but you don't need to be a hero when it's 5-on-5. right?
No.
You need to understand when the team needs you to be a hero and when the team needs you to be a teammate, a team player. Because a lot of times, and this actually happened to us in the first point of the I think the Ochos or something like that. We lost 2 guys on the break. And then all of a sudden, guys start making these crazy wild moves, not understanding that we shot 2 of them off the break also.
Yeah.
It's like we didn't settle back in and just be like, hey, if this is that, all right, I'm going to be a hero. It's not like, well, let me just pull the reserve shoot right now, not knowing whether or not my main shoot works.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly that's why the D3 line. I was for Narcos, Ryan. You would have been proud actually, because again we didn't make it, but we did a lot better in just 2 months. You know, some head and shoulders better. Got kind of buy-in and production out of a lot of dudes, but they were just super inconsistent. That was kind of what cost us. But there was a couple games where we would go down and then come back. You know, so that's when I'm like trying to refocus them and let them know, hey, okay, you guys just made mistakes. Shake it off. We need to get back out there. I'm obviously saying a lot more words than that, and would probably much more colorful. But that was one of the things that I was really happy with them about, is that we didn't mentally fold. Yeah, I'd have certain mental weaknesses start seeping in with certain guys here or there. Yeah. That we, again, nip that cancer in the bud. Let's get them back out there, especially guys that are starting. But that's another thing that drives me crazy. Like, and I had to say this to a couple different dudes. I'm like, you know, they'd be like, oh, dude, I just lost, you know, this fight or blah, 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 blah. Like, I need to take a seat. I need whatever, even if they don't need a rest. And I'm like, if I have to take you off the field, we get substantially worse. So get your shit together, get the fuck back out there, and get me that point back. Just because you lost that last gunfight doesn't mean you're going to lose the next gunfight. You're good. Let's go, baby. I need you. Get this dude wiped off and get him some more paint. You're going back out. Can you breathe? Yeah? All right. Get the fuck back out there. You know? And it's like, and they're like, all right, yes, coach. And then they go out there and then they have a good point. You know?
Yeah. This is a funny video, too, kind of just like what you're talking about, of Mouse. Come
on, Joey B.
Oh, yeah. I do that.
Come on, Joey B.
I do the same thing. We all pace. Everyone paces back and forth. Like, if you want to hear me do a funny commentary, come and watch me pace back and forth with my coach. Yeah.
Come on, Joey B.
I can't stand still.
Come on, Joey B.
Emotion creates emotion, so I gotta and I can't stop myself.
I gotta pace because I can't see over everybody. Kyle and I, once you find a spot that you can view, you gotta stay there because some taller person goes in front of us, we can't see. So I'm either pacing trying to find a view, or when I find a spot, I'm like, all right, we're good.
Well, and also another thing, at least another reason I pace back and forth is that as the coach, you got to know the count, because if we're up, okay, if we're up points, who cares, right? You know, we're fine. I'm not gonna need to concede if we're up, but if you're down, you know, you need to keep that count right because you need to preserve every second on the clock. But
yeah, you know, and it's like it's tough, that whole the confidence thing, and just kind of explaining to guys and trying to remotivate them. Our Omega squad, we had last minute addition. We had 9 guys on the roster. We had Rodney Squires, who I'll tell you right now, straight up, he's still not.
Dude, and Ronnie's 54 years old, bro.
He's got to be 55 years old. I joked to his son because his son Jake is really good at paintball.
Dude, and Jake's a really level-headed kid, man. Because he was hurt, and I got a chance to talk to Jake when you guys were playing. He's a smart kid, man. He's gonna he's got his head.
He's gonna be successful in whatever he does. But no, he's a really good. He's one of those. He's calm, right, when he's playing under pressure, which is awesome. Yeah. And he picks up what we're trying to say. So it was a bummer that he broke his hand playing football. But Rodney's like, well, I committed. I'm going to keep playing. And I'm like, Rodney, are you still good? He's like, yeah, dude, I can still play. I'm like, all right, you're Rodney telling me this. Dude, he shot guys off the break a lot. He made the right moves a lot. He did get a gun penalty.
Yes, in our game.
In our game, yeah.
Or no, sorry, in the game that I watched you guys. Yeah, the game I was in the pits, or at least off the side of the pits with you guys.
Yes, and then he got a penalty, which is the same type of penalty I would have gotten. He bunkered this guy, and the guy was switching out of the center, and was he wasn't looking at Rodney, but he raised up and kind of rolled back and shot Rodney, and Rodney's like, that's a penalty. He spun. And they gave us a minor for talking and pulled our last guy, so we didn't get the point, and that was to tie it up. We lost by 2 to that one. But, dude, Rodney played really, really well, man. It's just he likes to ride the line. So in the morning at 7:30 in the morning when I'm like, all right, everybody, put your guns at 260, 270. I said, let's just start at like mid 270s so you won't break as much paint. And I hear Rodney's got to break paint, and I'm like, what? He's crying. You should break paint. He goes, unscrews the barrel. He's like looking through it like he's looking for a pirate ship on the horizon. He's like, looks like there might be one in the barrel. I'm like, dude, just say, come on. I know you broke paint, Rodney. You know you broke paint. I know you broke paint. Your son, everybody here knows you broke paint. Squeegee it out. Turn your gun down.
Yeah.
It was just really funny. But yeah, we had almost too many guys, and I had a guy that he completely blew. You know, I put him in he kind of came in late, and put him in the snake as the number 2 guy, and second kind of trading off, and he just didn't want to use his left hand. So after that, he just completely blundered it. So I sat him for I don't know if it was the rest of the match, but it was a couple points. I'm like, hey man, listen, you're a good player, and I'm going to give you the same opportunity, but with your right hand. Okay, so you're going to go through the motions, and you're going to do exactly what you should have done over there, but you're going to do it with your right hand. And if you succeed, you're going to play back to back until you can't do it anymore. Dude, he goes in there, 3-pack, 4-pack, goes over, plays with his left hand, another 2-pack or 3-pack, super calm, and played 3 great points in a row. And it was like, you know, a lot of times, and we'll talk, because I think someone mentioned it earlier, it's like, you know, we'll give people game plans, and we'll say to do this. And you know, Maddie, you were mentioning just don't gunfight. Don't engage in this 50-50 gunfight. And it's so easy in hindsight to say that or to mention that and to reflect on it. And people are like, oh yeah, you know, I know you talked about it, but it's like, you get a guy that sprints into the box and he's kind of already a lot of people aren't as calm and can't see everything in slow motion like some other, you know, some players can. And they're thinking about all this stuff. I pretty much said, I want to say probably 20 times or more. I'm like, look, when I call 22, that means there's 2 guys in the back center. And all of you guys that go outside of the back center can pinch these dudes. We played the felons, and there's bigger guys back there. And I'm like, just get to your spots. I don't care about the outside guys. Let the outside guys make it. But you're going to look inside, and you're going to produce kills. Please do that. Not one time do I get both sides to do the shot. And every time, come on, dude, please, please, please. And so it's the same reason that when you get in there and you come out and you engage with your first shot and miss the guy, and you come out and you engage with the second one, as the ratio of your skill to his skill become more level, and the fact that you're probably, you know, at this point you have a lower likelihood, the less you're also thinking. You know, it's like the more beers you drink, the worse your decisions and you are going to be, you know, moving forward. But you keep drinking beers and you keep making bad decisions. And so it's the same cause and effect. You're tense, you're not thinking. So when the box and it's 10, 9, 8, 3 seconds, and I'm like 22 pinch. Everybody runs out there and does their own thing.
Right. No, Ryan, I'm with you 100%. But that you brought up something that's really interesting, just because, you know, when you're saying hey, you know, it's the more beers you drink, the less your critical thinking exists. And that's true. But I'm really interested I would love to put, what's up?
Except for you. You're
well, everyone has a level, but
you're immune to IPAs.
Yeah, well, it's the Anglo-Saxon genes. I got a good liver. Anyway, but the thing is that, so this is what I'm wondering. I would love to put you, Ryan, in an MRI machine and show you, or it would almost be impossible to do, but they could probably get creative with it. So the reason why, so you have the neocortex and I'm sorry, gentlemen and ladies out there, I'm gonna get a little nerdy for a second, but. Just real quick, little tangent here. But so with the reason, you have the limbic brain and the neocortex, and then there's the dorsal lateral neocortex, and so these areas of the brain, neocortex, dorsal lateral neocortex, this is what makes us human. It's our higher level of thought. It has no capacity for language. And but it also doesn't really make the same type of decisions that the limbic brain does. The limbic brain is the brain that is your survival part of your brain, you know? And that's where, and this is kind of the thing where they say, you know, it's when you're 18, you think you know everything. And when you're 25, you realize you don't know shit. And the most recent neuroscience tells us you don't really get an adult working neocortex until you're 25. Your brain you lose, synapses, but your synapses are able to fire more accurately through their pathways which is why it's harder to learn a language when you're older. Anyway, this is a tangent. But my point is that I think that when people, what the difference between elite level, pros like yourselves and guys that are really elite, guys like yourself, Ryan, that's like been so good for so long, you probably have this amazing ability to activate and continue to be using your neocortex while your limbic brain and the fight or flight is also, so your synapses after, because you've been doing this for so long, so it doesn't really matter what's happening, which is why you've been able to have these big moments. But I've noticed with divisional players is like the tougher the moment sometimes, and that's why we keep having to say the same thing over and over again and have these conversations. And as soon as the point starts, it's like they're like, oh dude, sorry, I know you've been saying that a million times, I just I didn't do it, so I think that if we were to take like your brain and see it playing paintball, there would probably be a ton of interactivity between the limbic section of your brain and the neocortex, whereas the farther down in experience you go, and this is why repetition is so important and why you got to have the right type of training, because if you're not preparing for these battles, this is why when I work with teams, like I put them in very specific types of drills that are timed, situational, considering points and bodies. And because it drives me crazy when I hear that teams are training and it's like they keep just playing points, and it's like, oh, so you're playing every single instance like it's 0-0 with all the time in the world on the clock? That makes no sense, because you're not in a learning moment here. But anyway, but I think that might be it. I think that might be why the more training you get and the more, I've done a lot of like force on force training with military guys over the years. And they call this the combat headspace, and the more time that you have in the combat headspace, the easier it becomes for you to process the variables that you need to know in order to increase your survivability and your lethality. So sorry, in a rant, but I just
no, it's actually very, very relevant. It's similar to starting the Spicka Span Show at 4 p.m. when you try to fire up the computer at 3:58. It's like we're in a combat headspace at this point in time.
Yeah, Kyle didn't even say hi when I walked in. He was just like...
No, I was like on the Fandango trying to batten down the hatches for the Hurricane game.
Yeah. And you're like, there's like there's like the computer or the system or there's something likes to throw a curveball at you at like 1 minute before the show starts. You're like, why is the audio just randomly not working? We literally didn't even have to do much. It was just like, click the button, double click it again, and then just say yes. No, but you're right. It's one thing that I found, and big shout out, it happened, the first person out of like, I've been teaching clinics for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden someone from this Colorado Blitz team was like, hey, do you mind if I take notes? And I was like, yeah. And he started taking notes. And then I noticed it with that Matty Kling kid, like write down everything. And then Mike Urena, who's like trajectory just absolutely exponentially increased when he got onto Dynasty, would always go through these motions. Obviously he's a creature of habit and wants to like, he doesn't want to play all over the field. He wants to play his spot and get these 3 spots down. Like every knuckle of the snake, the insert snake, and then whatever the corner has to be. And he would nonstop be taking notes. And I'm like, man, I just saw how quickly he excelled and like his skill set increased. And so I mentioned it to one of the guys on the D3 lines, Ruben.
Yeah, Ruben.
Ruben has a ton of talent.
Yep.
And it just, he would make a lot of the same mistakes and then just kind of like, oh, it's like they clipped here or do this or that. And I mentioned it to him and dude immediately turned around. His game went way up. And so I did the same thing with one of my players on the Mega who just kind of like, you'd have a great point and a horrible point. It would just like, it was here. Like there was rarely ever like a middle ground. And I was like, hey, take these notes, do this. And he's like, dude, this is helping me so much. And he's now a completely different player. So I highly recommend anybody who kind of struggles with like making the same mistakes or like kind of like not really honing in and figuring out their spots, like get a notepad. This is a brute notepad. You get a notepad and write some of this stuff down. I was like, just seriously, like it would help. All right, from back center, I can see the inside and the outside of California sometimes. And then if something happens during the match, write that down, a good or a bad. Okay, I got shot out over the pin. You ready for this?
Well, Ryan, just real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but just to co-sign on what you're saying, there's studies about this. Like if you actually, because I write a lot of stuff down. This is one of the reasons I take notes. Very specifically the way I do. But writing at the physical act of and this is also
It's another redundancy.
Yeah, well, and it's even different from people that take notes via like a typewriter or what, not typewriter, but like typing something down on your computer versus actually physically writing it. When you the parts of your brain that light up in an MRI machine when you're writing something down versus when you're typing something are different, and it's proven, at least from some of the cursory studies that I've seen, that when you write things down, it's a lot easier to commit them to memory. So I couldn't agree with you more. You know.
Yeah, it's another redundancy, and that's what I'm saying. What I tell them, it's like, okay, I think it. All right, obviously, how much of this information is my brain going to retain? And then when I put it to paper, that's another redundancy, and then I'm reading it back to myself, and then I have it there anytime I want to go look it up again. That's why, I mean, that's writing. I mean, Maddie, you could go on a tangent on this, but this is the reason that our civilization is where it is today. Is
Don't
because
even get me
we
started.
have written words and maps, and it's not just like, yeah, so and so you just sail that way for a couple months, and you're going to come up to this big landmass, and we called it America.
What?
And then all of a sudden, someone gets in a boat and goes, "What did you call it again? Which direction are we going?" Whatever. We'll land there. We'll name it something new.
Well,
right?
measuring things. So writing is, yeah, dude. Without again, I know I talk a lot. Apologies, guys, but I can't help myself.
No, you don't need to apologize.
But the thing is that it's the human superpower. It's magic because it defeats the conqueror of all, which is time and death. So if if somebody came across this sheet of notes in 1,000 years, they would know exactly through through at the last event.
They wouldn't know anything.
Well, no, I mean, if you knew how to decipher it. But the thing is that when you commit things down to paper, I can go and read a Greek or a Roman philosopher that wrote shit down 2,300 years ago, and it's still as alive now in 2024 as it was the day he put that to paper, to papyrus, or vellum back in the day, as it was then. It defeats the conqueror of all, which is death and time.
Dude,
so
the super volcano in Yellowstone erupts, and the only thing that's remnants, and someone in 2,000 years is like, okay, we finally cracked this code. It looks like NYX, as they call it, is going to be relegated, possibly.
Yeah, which we'll get to that eventually, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, no. But the thing is that yeah, it's just it's like, why not use your magical superpower, guys? Like, you have a if you're literate, which I'm assuming everyone that's typing in the chat and knows how to sign up to utilize the computer, everyone here can read and write. But that's your fucking superpower, man. Like, if you can read, and another thing too, is one of my favorite things I ever heard about, reading things is like, dude, people that read books. So if you don't read books, you live one life. If you read books, you get to live thousands of or hundreds of thousands, as many as, depending on how much you read, hundreds of lives, potentially dozens, hundreds of thousand lives, whatever, in one lifetime. Because when you dip into a nonfiction or a fiction book, if it's fiction, and it's like they say, fiction is more true than reality sometimes, because you can explore shit in like these, fake characters than some people can't put down about their real lives, But you can live through all these other people's experiences, learn shit the easy way, So it's like, yeah, man. Like, do you want to live one life or do you want to live hundreds of lives? So that's the question. It's like, do you want to read or not? Well, that's the question you need to ask yourself. Like, how many lives do you want to live in this one, mortal, tiny little eye blink of this cosmic existence that we have here? Like, that's up to you, But if you can read and write, why would you not fucking use your superpower, dude? You have a fucking magical superpower that no other creature out there has. Might as well use that shit. Mm-hmm. Audiobooks definitely count for sure. Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Watching
it's Ray. Plays on my Omega team.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, but I'll stop there so I don't hijack the fucking show.
Yeah,
let's get into World Cup, huh?
Yeah, big shout out real quick to everybody at the WC, and congrats on all the teams that won, and good job, Kyle. Good job. The Bloodhawks won overall for Premier. Rainey's team won. I think someone put in the post up there saying, pretty much, I think all the teams that won had a pro coach. That's obviously helpful.
Yeah, Fear D3 had Dan Lee.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
And they won the series and the final.
Well,
which is
and
cool.
and also again, like you had mentioned, buy-in. Look, I know the shit's expensive, dude. Paintball's expensive. Getting us to come out to your field's expensive, but do you want to win or not? You know, like this again. Speaking of things that are finite, like this is all finite. My knees are jacked. Like I can't do this anymore. Ryan has miraculously made it to his age, still being as good as he fucking is. Like it's insane. But all this ends one day. So when you go back, it's like, do you want to take the easy road or the hard road? You know, so there's.
Yeah.
You got to get buy-in with preparation, dude. Like if you cannot dedicate, if you're like, and dude, and if you don't want to do that or can't afford it, that's fine, dude. Again, there's lots of divisions. You can show up, crush beers in the parking lot, have fun, like, you know, bullshit with your buddies, like you're saying. Like, can I get you to focus for a little bit?
Yeah.
Can I get you guys to focus, please? I just need a couple hours. But there's a place for everyone in paintball. But the people that really, really want to get better, there's a way to do that, you know. So, and this road has been paved. The road's been paved. We know the route. We know how to get there. It's, you know, so it's just a question of, are you willing to buy in? And it's like when we were building Excessive to try to beat you guys, Ryan, you know, because, and this, again, it's like I tell this to people all the time. But, you know, thank your enemies, you know? So Ryan, thank you very much. Cause we've never played on the same team together, but you're
is that crazy?
One of my homies. But the thing is that, like, when it's all said and done, if you don't have some strong ass enemies, you have no idea how possibly strong you could be. So I'm glad that, you know, you guys had kind of taken things over, because like we came up and took things over as the Young Lions, and then you guys came up and took it over, and then we wanted to beat you guys. So when we were getting like literally physically beat up, like I had to box Paul Mendoza. That was not fun. Like actually put gloves on and box a karate world champion. That was not fun. But he would always, you know, preach to us in these excessive training sessions when we got good enough to then start beating you guys occasionally. You guys still got the better of us 100%, or like 90%, but still the better. But he said he called it the 3 S's: suffer, sacrifice, and success. If you are not willing to suffer in training for what your dream is, and you are not willing to sacrifice certain things, and you know, then you will never have success.
You have to persevere in the face of that. You know, you're absolutely right, Maddie, and that's so funny that you say that, because like a lot of times people will just sit in that division and they don't want to get better because they just feel like just complacency. But it takes a team to want to put in the work and to buy into the system. And that's also, I have to give a big shout out to Orlando. Orlando's in here right now, for putting it together for the Omega guys. And then Richie also, from the Narcos, you know, those guys, we couldn't even make a round 2 in D3. And they're like, him and Oz were like, dude, let's go for it and premiere. And
yeah,
a lot
Richie
of
and Oz are dope. Yeah, Richie and Oz are
dope,
great,
dude.
Yeah, dope.
And big shout out to Richie too, because then they're like, hey, let's get Colt Dahl out here. And I was like, all right, you know, if you want another ringer, just realize that's cutting into your playing time, possibly. So you guys had better show up.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I want to win. I don't, you know, like, and the whole Narcos squad, the premier line was like, look, we want to win. Whatever has to happen to win, let's do it. And Richie was like, he was player of the day by like a landslide out there. I had Marcelo coming out and like even Colton's dad came out and watched and was like, dude, the guy Richie, he's good. Like he played so well. And so him and Colton kind of carried the team through the you know, we 2-2, but there's an overtime loss. It was like a 1-point thing. It was but good shot, good work for those guys, man.
No, we haven't got a chance to decompress on it privately, so I'm glad you're giving it to me publicly a little bit, because I was working with some of those dudes. But I see this a lot, you know. It's like you see these really talented and hungry divisional players that are willing to put the work in, and that's kind of another thing. It's, you got to have patience, man. You know, like it does take time, and I don't know. It's another one of my favorite sayings is that, you know, because I remember hearing this. Is, you know, people are like, oh, Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't. But then I kind of, you know, I was like, yeah, but best believe they were putting bricks in the fucking wall every day, you know? So it's like, right. if you're not willing to put bricks in the wall every day, like, again, goes back to that Japanese business saying, incremental improvements over time create a drastic competitive advantage. But when I first started working with Richie, I was like, okay, he has the right mindset. And you can't, like, you can work with mindset, but you can't really teach that stuff, dude. Like you either have aggression and fight and that dog in you, or you don't. You have that ability to endure the suffering, the sacrifice, or you don't. Like, we can get somebody a little bit closer to it, but yeah, no, it's just, honestly, but it's like, it was just so, as somebody that kind of watches and my job is to watch the pros and do all that stuff. It's just really cool to go to the for our closing thoughts before we head into the actual pros. But dude, because people keep asking me, Ryan and Kyle, they're like, well, what happens when, the Dynasty guys retire? What happens when this team or this pro team? I'm like, dude, we're fine. Yeah. Like, yeah, we retired, and then another generation comes up. Like, there are so many young, hungry people that actually do really want to be elite and successful, and they are willing to do the shit that is required in order to achieve that. So I'm not really that worried about that at all, man. Like, you watch,
and they have the support staff to help it.
Yeah, exactly. They have the support to do it, because you look at the semi-pro division, which I don't know if we'll get to today, and I'm not like as familiar with some other guys with that, but I've seen it. See the teams that get out there, and I watch them play, talk to some guys, hear this, and I always hear about the really good players that are coming up before I actually see them. But I feel like it's going to be, barring some sort of cataclysmic World War III, like, I'm not worried about paintball at all, man. Like, as far as,
should we talk about World Cup, or should we talk about your thoughts on a potential cataclysmic World War III? Because I feel like,
I mean, if you guys want to do a podcast on that, like, that's my forte.
It's like, actually, the World Cup preview is really important, but am I going to be alive in the next 6 months?
Well, we're going to have a lot of time after World Cup till the first of next year.
Are we?
That depends on a lot. But like I said, I'm not trying to hijack your show. So, but yeah, if you guys ever want to talk all that stuff, dude, I'm down.
One last thing I want to say, just as we're talking about, as far as help for these teams. So D5, Lords 1 that I coach this last event.
Hit the air horn button. It's the equal sign button.
The equal sign button. I think it worked.
But you have to select you have to click the mouse on all of, like, the audio area. So it, like, highlights OBS. And
there you go.
Yeah.
And then also Sicarios 1D4, who had Rainey. Dark Horse got second. They have Corey Hall. Then you look at D3, Fear 1. Dan. Bloodhawks win the series. They have Chris Tregarthen. What?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bloodhawks are a little bit different, though, because, like, they have a ton of old pros, bro. Like, Tony Tran was nasty, dude. How Tony never played pro. Chris, same. When I started playing with the Hitman dudes back in, like, the late 2000s, and these little teenagers are running around with pump guns just murdering people in big games, and I was like, dude, these guys are so good. So, like, the Bloodhawks have been stacked all year.
But they also didn't win an event all year.
Oh, they didn't, and they won the series?
Yeah.
The old Bob Long's Ironman deal?
Bob Long's Ironman, 98 Ironman.
Yeah. But, hey, man, respect to them, man. Oh, and they have Dan Norcross. Like, that team, like...
Well, and they also have Corey Field.
Oh, Corey Field, he's with them, too?
Yeah.
Bro, that's no surprise. Those guys are all really good, dude. Like, Dan playing in a divisional league with Tony Tran and Chris Tregarthen, I don't care who the other two guys are, as long as they're okay. Like, that's a nasty three
Chris
dudes.
Tregarthen
Chris is
out of his mind
bro.
this
Chris
year,
is a
too.
Beast.
Like, he dominated.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, Tony was really good. Didn't they have Kenny?
That last year, they revamped it. They had Kenny Short and Scott.
Kenny wasn't good enough?
No, they did not do good with those guys.
But yeah,
and Fedorov was coaching them.
Second, fifth, second, third. Dude, yeah, that's pretty damn good.
I tried to pick Chris Tregarthen up for Narcos, and he was like, I don't know if I'm going to play, this and that, and then he went over there. I think a lot of people...
Bro, I watched...
that series.
Just real quick, cool Chris Tregarthen story. I was doing the college championships. He broke his hand about halfway through, I want to say, like, day 2, a 3-day event, or day 1. I can't remember exactly when it was, and he came over. He's like, Maddie, I broke my hand. And I've broke both my hands before, so... I've mangled both my hands, so I know how bad this is. His hand was completely swollen up, looked like a bear paw. And then and then the next day they go through and Chris with a broken hand, being basically could only shoot his gun with one hand, took like Thor's hammer to literally everyone they played, bro. It was so impressive, dude. Like, it was very, very impressive. Anyway, but yeah, that dude is an absolute beast. So good for them.
All right, Maddie. Let's talk about some sleeper teams at World Cup.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so to me, a legit, and they didn't prep me on this at all, so I don't. So here's how I categorize a sleeper team. Are we talking about somebody who can win the event?
You can talk about it however you want. It's your segment.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. So to me, it's the same thing with like dark horse teams, and we do that like Rich Shelford's dark horses, because he'll be like, and here we have Impact as the dark horse, and I'm like, how the hell is Impact a dark horse, dog? They're one of the best teams ever to walk the earth. Yeah, Dynasty. Yeah, we got Heat, Dynasty, and Damage.
We're a dark horse team now, right?
What's up?
We're kind of a dark horse team at this point.
You are no, dude. You still won a tournament this year, dog.
And you won how many of the last World Cups?
Yeah, bro. No. Okay. Yes, it's been. Yeah. Well, here's the thing for you guys, Ryan. Before we get into the sleeper team conversation.
Yeah.
I think that Dynasty. I would be scared to be in Dynasty's bracket. You guys have traditionally responded incredibly well to bad performances historically. Whether whether we're going tournament to tournament, year to year, in the tournament itself. Like God forbid Dynasty goes 2-2, barely makes it. You don't want to be facing them on Sunday. You want to be on the opposite side of the bracket. Hopefully you meet them in the finals. People are like, oh well, hopefully we face them early and we can knock them out. I'd be like, psh, all right, good luck. I've been on the receiving end of that before. It's typically doesn't work out well for you. So I mean that bracket you guys have with Revo, Blast Camp, Uprising, and Tauntauns, I wouldn't want to be in that bracket. I would not want to play you guys at Cup because I promise you, so here's the thing, people at home, for Dynasty, like when their short has been sharp for so long. When they go to practice, yeah, they're doing what is required to keep that shorts sharp, but the material, any more material you take off a blade makes it a little bit weaker. But I just think that you guys are going to be I think that you guys are going to be a really tough team for anyone out there. But I'm hoping that did we lose him?
No, he just...
No, I'm still here. My dog was snoring so
loud. Oh, so no, sorry, I just saw you disappear from the thing, and yeah. So I'm hoping that you guys, I know typically in practice you guys will go as light as you can to keep everyone healthy because we have some elder statesmen there. But I hope that you guys do press it a little bit in practice because there's been enough errors that it's time to kind of dig a little bit deeper. But yeah, dude, I just think that you guys are going to be probably still a favorite, because there's that hunger there. It's like, that's the thing. Like when you get to when you've climbed a lot of mountains, whatever, dude, pick your metaphor. When you've climbed a lot of mountains, had a lot of success, it's really hard to keep the intensity mentally needed to be the best because everyone's trying to take you down constantly. But now I think you guys are going to be heading into Cup with a chip on your shoulder, and Dynasty's not the fucking team you want to play with chips on their shoulders at Cup, so it's like that's pretty nasty. But so I would not say you guys are a dark horse. Any team that wins an event in a calendar year is never a sleeper team or a dark horse, even though you guys have missed 2 Sundays and had some disappointing finishes. I think that true dark horse teams, and until you win an event, it's like, dude, until you put up 300 pounds on the bench, we don't know if you can ever do that. That's a shit ton of iron. So it's really, 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 really difficult to win any pro paintball event. To win a Cup, bro. We just did this. If you guys haven't checked out the Tauntauns documentary, go check it out. But I did a little bit of an intro for Fava, and I was talking about how World Cup is another kind of monster. It really is. And so to win World Cup for a team that hasn't won any other pro paintball tournament. That's like the definition of a big ask. So any team, all the top teams are the big favorites here. And I mean big as in the size of California big, because that's how hard it is to win the World Cup. I'm going to die on that hill. I will argue with anyone about that. Now that being said, who knows, man? Dynasty cut its teeth by winning World Cup in a very crazy way the first time, and we were like, holy shit, all right, these kids have arrived. So but as far as those teams, if we go out, so it's like Legion, X Factor, Heat, I'll put Shock in there as well too. This incarnation of Shock has not won a World Cup. It's a different squad. They have won pro paintball tournaments. Aftershock is a legendary name. The dudes on the team currently are amazing pro paintball players that have won, but they haven't won the World Cup. But I would still put Shock in as a favorite. Damage, obviously, coming off their victory. Impact has looked so good the past 2 events with that 3rd and the 4th. And then you guys sitting at 7th. The Canes have been rough for their standards for the past 3. But I would put them in as a sleeper team at this point, you know. If we're talking again about true dark horse sleeper squads that could win this tournament, I'm not talking about making Sunday going deep. I'm talking about winning the tournament. Then I have to include the Hurricanes in there because they were up on you in the finals at the first event. And if they can get rid of and they're going to come in a little bit healthier than I've got to talk to Mike here in the next week to see where they're at. But Mike Bianca, God bless Mike Bianca's soul, gentleman and a scholar. But if they come in healthy, I think that's a legit team that has a chance. Once we go out of there, it's going to take an absolutely miraculous effort for some of these other squads to win the event. You got PB Fit, Revo, Ironman, and Infamous down in that 3rd tier with 9th, 10th, 11th, and tied 11th with Ironman and Infamous. Though I really do like Infamous's squad. I also like the Ironman squad. They've just been so inconsistent this year. Revo is coming off an 18th place after 3 Sunday appearances. And then PB Fit finally made their The reason why they're sitting at 9th is they've just been so consistent. Like PB Fit doesn't really make as I don't know how you guys talk to your divisional team sometimes, but if you look at what pro paintball is, or just good paintball in general, I'm like, look guys, we don't have to go out there and be the hero. We don't have to win every game by a mercy rule win. We just have to win more than half of the points every single time we play a game. If we do that, we go undefeated and we win the tournament. That's it. Just win more than half, win 60% of the engagements. If we do that, we're going to be incredibly potent and people are going to have to deal with us and you're going to earn a lot of people's respect. So that's the thing with Fit is they've been kind of right there. You know, they've gone mostly 2-2, 1-3 once, went 2-2 again at the last event. Ended up with a -4, but that was more Sunday, but they beat Infamous in the wild card, made it to the quarterfinals, took a 7th. You know, so but Fit has weapons, and I think that they got a chance to go into Sunday again. But again, until you climb that 14,000 foot peak, till you put up that 300 pounds on the bench press, until you actually win a tournament, like I don't know if you can actually do it. You know, not hating, just this is just how it is, dude. Yeah. Again, radical honesty, and this is what I try to give people. Revo's got some punch, and they're gonna be pissed off for greatness at this next one, and they got a lot of threats. But once we dip out of that tier, I mean, dude, Bears have a high-powered offense, but they literally lost every single game with a -14 at the last event. Are they ready to win a tournament? Probably not. You know, and I'm not hating on any of the Bears guys. I love Mike Kim, and they just brought him in. I love a lot of those guys on the team, but, you know, you guys literally didn't win a game at the last event, and you went -14. These are just the facts. So, you know, I'm just playing the ball as it lies here. And then we go Blast Camp. Uprising looked outstanding at the last event. I think they got a really... Dude, Uprising played so smart. Talk about fumble-free paintball. I rewatched all the Uprising games. It was really impressive. And if they buy in, work hard, like the future is very bright for that new squad that they brought in with some of
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm excited for them. And then these... But I'll tell you what, though, team I can't wait to watch, and it's cool that the Tauntauns documentary just dropped. Go to Planet Eclipse's YouTube and watch that. But, man, the Tauntauns have threats and vets. And if you don't have threats and vets, they don't have a ton of depth. And so that maybe could be an issue, but I can't wait to see how things go with the Tauntauns. I think the Tauntauns are probably the most legit. They've never won a pro event in America before, ever. So they've won a semi-pro event, but that is not pro, you know, like George and I were going back and forth with some details on some voiceover for that. And I was like, yeah, but they've won events, but semi-pro is not pro. It's not pro. Like if you're not with the best of the best, that's not pro. So I think the Tauntauns are probably the most legit. Again, sorry guys, I'm long-winded. Get another guest if you don't want me to talk a lot. But
this is exactly why we like you here.
Yeah, no, yeah.
This is why everybody tunes in specifically. They don't tune in to see us again. This is the beauty of it. I mean, how often are you going to be able to come in here and learn about paintball and then the new law?
Yeah, my mom used to call it diarrhea of the mouth when I was a kid, and it's just part of my personality, and I can't stop it. And luckily for me, because that's why I have the job I have. Anyway, but yeah, I think the Tauntauns are the most legit of the dark horse sleeper, quote unquote, but I wouldn't call them a sleeper. You know, I mean, with the lineup they have, the fact they get Axel, they got Hugo, you know, they have threats, and they have those vets, and those vets are good. So I think that they're legit. You know, but then they just, you got to again get a little lucky. You know, they got to catch a good run, catch the momentum. I love the way that Pasquale coaches that team, because he almost does it like it's a very artistic way to approach being a coach. He kind of sits there. You know, most coaches are looking at the analytics, trying to play, you know, the odds on like what makes the most sense, and he kind of just sits there and he kind of like, he's got his arm crossed like this, and he kind of strokes his chin a little bit, and then he calls the play. But it works out more often than it doesn't for him, and they've had so much success with that. So I don't know. I'm a Tauntauns fan, dude. I like the way they play the game. They play hyper aggressive. They're gonna be super fun to watch. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So we'll see, you know. But I'll throw it back to you guys. But that's my sleeper conversation combined with.
Should we do the picks right now?
No, we got to get way more. We got to see the layout. I realize that. Don't we usually see the layouts?
Okay, I like that.
Or let's do the picks next week, because I need time to like go in and.
Yeah. No, we can't do picks before we see the layout.
So then maybe we should.
But the problem is we don't see the layout till Wednesday, and that means that we don't get to do the picks until the week of World Cup. So we would have to do.
We should do next week's show on Wednesday.
After the layout.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think? We could certainly do that.
Yeah, we should do that.
I'm leaving on Wednesday of next week, though.
Oh.
Practice. I'm leaving on Wednesday of next week. So let's see if Jason will do it early. Yeah, you want to see the layout before you.
I need to, before I actually like weigh in with my thoughts on who I really think is going to win a game or whatever. Like, I need to see that layout, dude, because the layouts are huge. You know,
I think what we need to do is we'll do the picks when we see the layout. We'll reach out to everybody and get their picks, and then we'll announce all the picks on the show at World Cup. And we'll try to do a show live from World Cup on that Wednesday or Thursday. Hopefully we have better Wi-Fi. I'm gonna get a hold of them. Meter, if you're watching this, can you pack the Starlink out there?
Oh, Meter got the Starlink. Of course, Meter has a Starlink.
Well, of course, Meter has a Starlink, but no, we did it from there last year, and they're like, oh, we don't have Wi-Fi on site. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? How do you run this operation? We couldn't like.
No, well, there is white. Well, I don't know. We have.
Yeah,
you just have to. You have to have the like. You gotta have the hookup on that.
Gotta have the hookup. Someone needs to hook us up, and maybe we run the show through Go Sports.
I gotta talk to Darren, our director, our technical mastermind, but yeah, I mean, we have internet over there. Like, well,
you guys obviously got the internet because you got.
Yes, we definitely do, and we have Wi-Fi too. So.
Oh, got Wi-Fi. I know that. Yeah. No, the NXL hooked us up with some bootleg Wi-Fi on the top of that thing, that VIP stage area. That looked like it was a haunted house that we were on, covered in pink paint. It was a mess, but yeah, we got to see the layout first. So we're gonna figure it out. We'll get the legal beagle betting going as well, and we'll get the same heads in there, and we'll make sure that everybody has plenty of time, Steve, to make the picks on that one. What do you? I think like if you look at the brackets. What do you think? If you want to pull those up, which one do you think is the bracket of death? Which one's like the kind of cakewalk bracket? And what do you think about that?
For Division 3?
For semi-pro, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think your guys' division, Ryan, is the bracket of death.
Bracket of death for sure, right?
I don't even think it's if you guys haven't checked it out, go at Nate Schrader, on our Go Sports show last week, and we talked through this a bit. I mean, dude, with how good Uprising looked at the last event, like if Uprising brings that, they don't even have to get better. If they bring that exact same package and they're tier 4, and then you have the Tauntauns in tier 5, bro, like, and a pissed off Dynasty. So you have a pissed off Dynasty who has missed 2 Sundays this year and won an event. You got Revo, who made 3 Sundays and took, 18th at the last event? What did they take? Yeah, 18th. So you got a pissed off Dynasty. You got a pissed off Revo. And then you have Blast Camp, who has gone 17th, 8th, 16th, and 12th. They went 2-2 with just a -2 at the last event. Beat Heat. So that's your tier 3 team. And then you have Uprising, who made Sunday, and the Tauntauns, so I think actually have a outside chance at winning the event. Yeah, bro. Like, this, I think, I've thought about this a little bit. Like, this might be a hill I will try to die on as far as arguments are concerned. Though I'm always down for an argument. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can someone try to prove me wrong right now in the chat? What do you think? Can someone have a better argument than that for a harder division other than Division 4 or D?
Bracket.
Sorry, bracket. Dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, yeah. At first, I thought it was maybe that first bracket. Then once you kind of look at, like, I mean, Uprising is always so good. They just fumble it, and then the last event they didn't fumble at all, which makes it scary. Revo, obviously, I mean, we've matched up well against them in the past, but you know how that goes. The more of those things you win, the less likely you are to win the next one.
Well, just go. Let's just start with the fifth teams down here. You got Dynamite, Fusion, NYX, and Tauntauns. Who's the best team there? Ryan?
Tauntauns.
Okay. Kyle?
Tauntauns.
Okay. Let's go with 4. Bait and Paintball. I'm not talking about overall for their entire lives and on paper. I'm talking about, what have you done for me lately? Diesel, Notorious, ML Kings, or Uprising. Based on what we saw at the last event, who's the best team there? Ryan?
Yeah, Uprising.
Okay. Kyle? Diesel. I get it. It's fine. I'm just saying, paintball is a what have you done for me lately sport. What just happened? Okay, well, what just happened was Uprising played their asses off at the last event, made a ton of alterations to how they play the game, their roster, their coaching squad this year. They stepped up, and they beat the Ironman by 2 in the wildcard round. They actually ended up the entire event with an even point spread, but they went 2-2 in the prelims. I mean, that's better than you guys have done. It's like, it's just so okay. So Tauntauns are the best team in tier 5. I would be willing to entertain an argument for Diesel, because, like, dude, I've been saying this for this whole time. I'm like, Diesel, I just remember, and God rest Tim Montresor's soul, but they brought Smotroff out to a 10-man event, and they played most of the games on Hyperball, and he had like 3 bad games, and then they're having like, well, should we sit Smotroff? And they're like, what are the chances that Smotroff has 4 bad games in a row? He goes out and has another bad game. What are the chances he has 5 bad games in a row? It's like, at some point in time, it's Leo Smotroff, dude. The guy is insane. He's going to step up, and like, it's a little out of his wheelhouse with Hyperball, but it's still paintball.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at the same way with Diesel. Like, at some point in time, Diesel's going to remember who the fuck they are, and we're going to see some really good paintball out of them. It's just been really, it's been a long time coming. So yeah, man, I don't know, dude. I would honestly, for the game of paintball itself, if Diesel rolled up and won World Cup, that would be so dope, dude. What a cool story to tell.
Riding off into the sunset.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But so then if we go to, tier 3, that's where things get different for your division here, because you can't say that Blast Camp's better than Infamous, Aftermath, or the Bears. Bears, Aftermath, and Infamous have been way better than Blast Camp this year. I don't know, Ryan, who do you think's the best right now based on what you've seen through 4 events between Bears, Aftermath, and Infamous? Like, who would you want to play? I mean, I know you're not scared. You're Ryan.
Isn't there a
Greenspan,
4th team?
But what's up?
Bears, Aftermath, Infamous, Blast Camp.
Oh yeah. I think it's Infamous. I think Infamous is always that, like, wild card. I think Aftermath has it. Their style of play isn't one to, like, consistently win. They win games, and it's off the back of guys and talent. And I think that they have the tools necessary to win. I just think that the overall mentality on that team isn't a winning mentality. And I think that, I think that Infamous has the mentality, and they're just trying to get the pieces of the puzzle to all work together properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Bear.
Yeah, it's
so it's between Aftermath and Infamous. Just kind of like who hits their shots and makes their...
The way I look at it is that which team can I look at here and be able to predict a little bit more efficiently what everyone's going to do. I think that the Bears and Infamous are more unpredictable with a higher punch. You know, like a more an ability to punch up and potentially like
Really?
shock you. You know, so the teams that, you know, I don't have a dog in this fight because like I'm not coaching in the Pro Division. So, but if I was, you know, back in the day, I'd be like, you know, in my heart of hearts, I wouldn't admit it, but I'd be like, I don't give a shit who we play. Let's go line them all up. We're gonna win this tournament. But I would be more scared to play Infamous than the Bears right now. What do you think, Kyle?
I would out of that middle one.
Yeah, at tier 3. And just real quick, but the Bears are also kind of in that, like, you know, they went out and lost every single game at the last event, and they're still kind of playing. They still play, as we had spoke about earlier on in the show, with a little bit more of that hero mentality. And I think that Mike's going to be able to get him some control. I just don't know if he can do it in 2 weeks, you know? So I think that they're still going to be making some mistakes.
Who?
The Bears.
What coach?
Hinman?
He's not coaching.
He's not coaching them anymore.
Oh, he's not?
No.
When did this just happen? Did it just
happen at the event, I guess.
Oh, really? No shit. That was quick.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. All right.
Juicy.
Juicy?
Yeah.
We announced it last week or 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
That changes the perspective.
I would say Infamous would be the hardest.
Yeah, I think it's Infamous.
And then the next one.
Hurricanes, Fit, Ironman, Revo. I think it's, you know, it's.
Well, I'm gonna say Fit because they keep whooping our ass.
I would say Fit
They
too.
have a great record against
It just
you guys.
depends what Hurricanes team. You know, I think the layout too. Are they gonna have some of their injured players back? See, right?
Well, let's
We
see.
gotta talk to Bianca.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They've been beat up with injury quite a bit, which has affected them. Seawright's a big part of their offense. Pate was a big part of their closing. I don't know. I mean, until I talk to Mike, I can't really make that call. With Fit, yeah, dude, Fit is getting scary because Chavez is so damn good on that D side, and then, you know, between Stewart and Mason on the Snake side, like, I mean, I rewatched all their games. Like, they have punch there. Colt's a hell. Like, they start a lot of games up. Like, Colt's a hell of a gunfighter. Some of the bigger dudes that I coach, like, I go watch Colt Lukow, dude. Colt's like his snapshot and his like ability to sense and how he keeps his head on a swivel. Like, just watch him in a bunker. I want everyone to play like that. You know, like, it's insane how quick he is with his reactions. Yeah, and then, dude, and Ironman and Revo, Ironman are much more inconsistent. I think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Revo's they have a lot of more refined talent on that team. And again, they are going to be pissed off at this next one. But
And did some of these teams bring in some European pros as well? Did I hear Revo?
Yeah, I think Notorious did. They brought 2 Lucky 15s guys. And then maybe someone brought in someone from Breakout's Claw.
Let me see if I can see.
That might be something. But yeah, Rev, what do you think, Maddie? Who do you think is the team up there?
I probably would least like to play. I don't know. This is when it gets really rough because this is, you know, as we talk about execution, right? I would, because I mean, I don't know. I feel like if we were doing a debate and I had to pick the Hurricanes, Fit, Ironman, or Revo and argue for them to be the scariest team, I feel like I could probably do that. So this is kind of a hard one to pick. So just, I mean, again, the succinct version, the small version, the Hurricanes have been underperforming for 3 events now. If they come back and they're healthy, I think that's the biggest caveat for them. And the asterisk is that if they have everyone there that they had at their second place finish where they were up on you guys in the finals and then blew the lead, I feel that might be the scariest team to play in that tier. Fit is getting better and better, and those dudes are, you know, like, and I said this during the show, they are not fazed by Sunday pressure. They're used to playing on Sunday. Like that's
Right.
they're totally used to all that pressure. Like, yeah, it's the pro league, but they were there with AC Dallas, and then they went down and won every single semi-pro event. Like those guys do not get rattled on Sunday, so they're not going to get rattled by the moment. Ironman, it's just, dude, can they execute? I mean, those guys are just really inconsistent right now. But they have a lot. I mean, talk about a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent on that team. And then Revo's more refined than the other 4 teams. But the event they just had was they didn't have their coach much at the last one because Mike was at a wedding. So I don't know. I mean,
Revo added Cody. That's right, Cody Mikowski.
Yes, so Revo picked up Cody from you guys. I don't know. I feel that if the Hurricanes are still beat up, probably the team I'm the most. If I had to pick one, the team I wouldn't want to play would be Revo. If the Hurricanes are healthy, maybe Hurricanes. Next would be Ironman, and then Fit, just still because they're not super deep. And out of those squads, I mean, because, like, dude, the Hurricanes are still ranked 8th overall, and they haven't made a Sunday since the first event. It's like, that's a pretty crazy. I don't know. That's a tough. What do you think, Ryan? I mean, obviously you have Revo in your division, but what are your thoughts on Hurricanes, Fit, and Ironman?
Tougher.
But yeah, I think Fit. We've said it at the end of the last 2 events where they beat us. I think that they do such a good job of controlling the narrative during the game. They're not like, at least we haven't played against a Fit that was in need of points, and they're so good at just kind of continuously keeping the pressure on. That's what I really noticed. So I would say they're a kryptonite at this point. Revo is up and down. They have insane talent. They've got Tom Ford behind them right now, who is really pushing to make sure that team is successful. So it's also really good that they've got like a great support staff of the team. So, and they got Opie coaching them.
Well, so I was going to ask you that. So just real quick, because they do have Opie Logren coaching them, and Opie knows your team.
I mean, yeah, that's such a hard thing to say. Like, it's not like it's not like
he doesn't know. Like,
it's not like
I know.
I just left and went to another team. I'm like, okay, this is how Dynasty.
For sure.
Opie knows our team from 2006.
But he's a smart guy. Like, if Opie really put his mind to it, like Opie could watch all your points and watch the webcast and be like, okay. Because Opie is a really, really smart. He's whip sharp when he wants to be. So, like, if he wanted to go and back and, like, really do his homework, he could probably bring Tom and Mike a pretty solid, like, scouting report and be like, all right, I'm Opie. I just literally watched, all this Dynasty paintball. I'm like, here's what I think they're going to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks. And honestly, like, just touching on that, like, at the end of the day, for Dynasty to be successful, I think we need to have a lean roster. I think that the teams that when you watch the teams that succeeded and made it far in the event are running a very lean roster and giving those guys breaks when they can. The exception of X Factor, who only just ran the entire event of 6 guys, which I think when we were commentating that, when I was up there, I was like, why don't they give these guys a break? And you're like, I think they only have 6 guys.
Especially missing Billy.
The depth, we have the best depth, I think, on the team, out of any team by far and above, with as far as the most talent per capita on our team over anybody else's. It just needs to be utilized a little bit more efficiently, in my opinion. And that's what it comes down to, honestly. And Dynasty making less mistakes on an individual basis. That and I think we reached out to our Dynasty Champions Club. I want to get a stat on how many of the first points that Dynasty loses.
Oh, dude, I do want to say, after spending time with some of the dudes from the Champions Club at the
big game,
big game, those guys are dope, dude. Like,
dude, every year's rad.
Good vibe, man. Like,
yeah.
We were talking politics. We were talking like all sorts of like. There's some smart guys in that thing, man. Like, it was pretty impressive. It really was.
Yeah, the Champs Club. I mean, and we just sent out just by far the best gift that we've ever made to those guys. But everybody who's ever supported Dynasty, and it's funny, we get guys that how it is, man. Like, we get guys that were like kids and they're teenagers or even their parents in 2002. And now they're like, dude, you still play? This is crazy. So yeah, shout out to all the Dynasty fans out there.
Well, dude, there was, just real quick, but there was a guy, I think his son's in the Champs Club, but he was there and he was the superintendent of all of the Fresno schools. My wife's from Fresno. Yeah, and so like I went home after that weekend. I was like, I was like having dinner with the superintendent and my sister-in-law. She works in that school district, and then so my sister was like, he was a super, and I didn't realize how important this guy was. And then she hit up her sister Mallory, and she was like, oh, he was beloved. We loved him so much. And so apparently he was like king shit. Everyone loved him until he had to. But he was like saying it was like the hardest job in the world. Anyway, but it's a longer conversation.
It's Ben Nelson's dad. Yeah, they're great. They came out to all the events. He's awesome.
But that was like I'm at dinner at a barbecue spot, and I'm having a conversation with the dude who ran the entire school district from like a giant ass city in California. Like that's what happened in the San Diego Dynasty Club.
No.
Yeah, it was tight.
No. Oh, Geoff, let's go, Geoff. Jeff. Oh yeah, Jeff.
Did we do this last year?
Yeah, well, and then before we go, we gotta talk about the actual like the top 4 teams too.
Yeah. So shock, damage, impact, dynasty.
What do you think, Kyle? Let's have you start this time.
That one's probably the toughest out of all of them.
Yeah, it definitely gets harder as you go up for sure. Give me your no bullshit impression of this. Shock, damage. What do you think of right away? Who do you want to play the least right now? Shock, damage, impact, or dynasty? I know you could probably, like I said, like steel man every single one of those teams.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess if we're going off lately, it would probably be damage.
Yep, I think the same thing.
But I think at World Cup, dynasty is a scary beast.
Yeah, for sure.
So. Yeah, that's extremely tough. I don't know. I would.
It's like pick it out of a hat.
I'm partial, almost. to say dynasty also because I've experienced a lot of World Cups with dynasty.
Yeah, you helped them win the World Cup.
Yes, it's like I know what you're facing with that team, but also like you don't know like what kind of team you're gonna get with shock as well.
Yeah,
it could be like middle of the pack, or they could be the best team there.
Well, shock they blew a 3-point lead against X Factor. Let X Factor score 6 points against them. You know, to another universe, they win that game. So no, I'm with you on that, bro. I mean, literally, I'm just gonna say exactly what Kyle said because that's what I was thinking, pretty much verbatim. So I know it's tough. Damage just won the last event and they looked nasty. They went undefeated. I mean, what do they have? They had a plus. Damage had a plus 18 undefeated record. Which means they won 18 points more than their opponents, and they did not lose a game. And they had some battles. They had some smoke show wins where they like just completely beat up on Blast Camp, beat up on the Bears, barely beat Uprising, barely beat Heat, barely beat Uprising again, barely beat Impact, and then beat X Factor by 3.
I'm gonna go through them like this. Okay, I feel like shock if they're doing dynamic strategy and game plans that's unexpected, that's like their best chance probably to be in the top. If they're managing that well, they win. Damage, if everyone is playing at 110% from Keith, Rainey, everyone as solid consistent game plan, I feel like they're pretty hard to beat. Impact I think is a mix. They need a little bit more dynamic strategy. Everyone is usually playing pretty consistent on that team. And then Dynasty, I think, is just them staying true to their what they've been doing and how hungry everyone is to come out and perform. And kind of like, fight through and come out on top on stuff. Like I feel like Dynasty previously in the World Cups, like there's been some harder games, especially towards the end of this year, where you guys are the games have been so close, but sometimes you just taken like the shitty end of the stick on the way that the match crumbles. So it's like between those, yeah.
Ryan, what do you think, bud?
Well, obviously, if I have to recuse myself from the Dynasty side of things,
you do.
I think Shock's the scrappiest out of the other three teams. Impact is they have that consistency where they're just always in the fight, and then Damage just is sharp, man. These guys are good, and they've been playing really good. They run that tight line, that tight ship. If Shock's getting getting lucky with a lot of the movements and what the game plan that they have, then it could be them. And then it's that one. That's probably the hardest. What does everybody think? What does everybody in the comment section think as far as we rank them top 4 Shock, Damage, Impact, and Dynasty?
And I would say like Damage and Impact play a similar game. So it's like who's playing better out of those two. Shock is just like what team shows up, and
what are they gonna throw at us?
Yeah, is there risk? I feel like they're a high risk team, so it's like
Shock.
Yeah. It's like, are they going to be rewarded or is it going to hurt them?
Well, I think that for this top division, I think the layout too is really going to decide who's the best here, because I think that Dynasty's a good mix of attack and control, more attack sometimes than control depending on the layout. Dynasty plays incredibly well. Where Dynasty's thrived and has had the ability to win so many tournaments is they're just better in the scramble than almost everybody. So that's impressive. With Impact, I've been incredibly impressed the past couple events with how well Impact has responded to the layout, to pressure situations, to kind of everything. Damage obviously was beyond impressive at this last one. And then Shock, I think I do agree with you guys that Shock's like, as far as there's, I don't know about scrappiest, because there's a lot of scrappy, but in a lot of these guys. But they throw really like when you have A-Rod out there, like you don't really know when that dude's gonna send it, Yeah. And then Parrish has been insane. Corey's so good. Hosky's been really good for him, and then Thomas Kim, man. Thomas Kim thrives in that chaos, So it's but that's this again. This is such a coin flip for me. But until I actually see the layout and really start thinking through it, but that's why this conversation we're having right now is some of the most, like, I can't wait to see how this plays out. Like when these games, I can't wait to see who looks the best out of these 4 teams. Because again, if we were just running a show, we're like, all right, Steelman me the argument for Shock as the best team out of those 4. Like I could go off on a tangent for a long time, and I could do that for Damage, I could do that for Impact, and I could do that for Dynasty. But that's why sports are fun, because it's like who executes, who plays the game, or who has the best game plan for the layout, multiple game plans. I don't know. Like this is really a toss-up, man. Like it really is. I don't know. I have no idea. Again, Dynasty's due and is going to be super pissed off for greatness. Impact has been looking better and better. Damage just went undefeated and looked the best they have all season long. Also, somebody had said in the chat, like this is a hometown event for them. They just had a hurricane they lived through, so it's like, hey, we made it. All right, let's go and play some paintball. So that's going to be extra energy for them. And then Shock is just a wild card because they have so much talent on that, especially that that starting roster is insane. I don't know.
I feel like if it's like a trickier field where there's like if you could coordinate it well, and I don't know, through the middle and switching people at the right time, I feel like it gives the upper hand to Shock and Dynasty, where it's just pure grit, like fundamentally strong, maybe even somewhat of a slower game, more methodical. I think that gives upper hand to like a Damage, Impact.
I couldn't agree more. If it's a slower, more controlled field, Damage and Impact might have a little bit of an advantage, and if it's a really hyper aggressive field, that's a little bit more Dynasty, Shock. And if there's
you have to one factor we're not taking into consideration is the bracket leading into. So if this was just the 4 of us playing, that's one thing. But coming out of the bracket that we're coming out of, imagine if.
Well, no, 100%. Like for sure. That's the thing too. Okay, so to Ryan, to your point, then, because you guys have what looks like the obvious bracket of death, if you guys get out of that, then we don't want to play you guys because you just went through wars. You had to beat Revo, Blast Camp, Uprising, and the Tauntauns. Again, I'm not taking anything away from these other brackets, but with how good the Tauntauns are, I mean, we had some people in the chat saying they got it, again, as we've been discussing, and then with Uprising, like, dude, yeah, that's a nasty bracket.
Now let's talk about the top 4.
We gotta get to the top
Ron,
4.
we were just talking about the top of these 4 brackets. So we're gonna go. Yeah, he said you got to throw X Factor into the conversation. So they're just in a separate.
We're moving up. We're moving up.
Yeah, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Okay, well, Ryan, you started off then. Legion, X Factor, Heat, and Scalp. Like, maybe break it down for everyone because you guys were there last year. So kind of explain what that is and what those guys are dealing with, and then how it works.
So Scalp's the hardest because they didn't lose a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, so the way that this one works is that you're just playing for seeding. So there's nothing really coming out of this bracket that is too consequential aside from who you're going to play in the next round. So it definitely decides, how things are going. But the good news is if you make it into this top 4, you're automatically going to be making it onto the Sunday round. With that being said, I think Scalp is probably the weakest team in there, followed by Heat, and then I would say just for the season that's been going on, shout out to X Factor for dethroning the Russians at the last one. But slightly, I think between X Factor and the Russians, knowing that X Factor loses Axel, they do have Billy back, but Axel's obviously a big factor in, excuse the pun, in their success. I give it to the Russians just like by a fraction. But again, same thing. Like it's one bad burrito bowl or a gas station sushi away from taking down the entire Russian Legion organization because they can only play with 5 guys.
And
you add
also
six body, those guys are just not quite ready at the caliber of the rest of the 5 that start.
And also, again, I'm gonna say, like, if I have to pick right now without seeing the layout, I would probably give it to Red Legion.
Me too.
But layout dependent again too, because the way that Snake Side was kind of built, it Malloy got stifled a little bit over there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Legion's lost to 2 teams all year, Dynasty and X Factor. That's it.
That's wild.
And other than that, and then but Heat, I don't know. I don't know.
Dynasty's lost to Fit twice, so that might put Fit at the top.
I was gonna say that exact thing actually.
So and then Scalp's obviously got the uphill climb here. And anyone, again, no disrespect, but this just is what it is. I know they're picking up, or somebody had said in the chat too, that they're picking up some bodies.
Breakout Spa.
Yeah, from Breakout Spa, and that's great. Whatever. And then I talked to, and then Ryan Gray is going to be coaching Scalp. I talked to him for quite a bit after he left you guys, and he feels pretty stoked on the roster. Has some experience with them from Europe. But yeah, man, it is an uphill climb for them. Another thing, and Orion, what are your thoughts on the fact that, so it's like you guys, like you have to play these teams that went through just straight wars to get there. And then you're playing these inconsequential seeding matches and it's for the top seed. So they're going to play each other, which is going to be fun for everyone to watch because then you're going to see essential finals games in the quote unquote prelims for the fans. And I'll be stoked when those games get to us on the schedule. And it's a conversation starter, but you're not playing for anything because sure, if you're the number 1 seed, you don't know who you are going to end up with on the other side of the bracket. That's a toss up for the paintball gods and how it all shakes out. But that's why I'm asking you because Dynasty was there last year, Ryan. What was that like for you? What was the mindset? And I guess my big question is trying to stay sharp when you're about to face these dudes that just went through the war of the prelims to get into the actual Sunday performance when you guys were having seeding rounds that didn't mean much.
That's honestly easy. You don't treat it that way, right? You can't you just can't go into that mentality of this one's don't matter. We can stay out a little later. Let's go catch a couple beers and you're honestly you're playing to hopefully get a little bit better of an edge on the next set of competition that you're going in. And it's funny because I heard some of the guys, I forgot who it was last time. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're just trying stuff. That's what this seeding round's for, is to try stuff." No, that's what practice is for, right? You need to go in here planning on this is going to be my hand, and I'm going to show it.
So
you can't hold anything back.
Something I was
Yeah.
also thinking about here, I don't know how much of an effect this has, or the way that the points are going to be done is a little different, but like, okay, with that at the bottom of the season rankings being NYX, the Notorious, us, Diesel, and then when you're looking at the brackets, like, so NYX is in a bracket with 4 other U.S. teams. Notorious is in a bracket, no disrespect to Spider Fusion, but with a team that I don't know has ever really faced anything like a pro division, because the team is mostly like D3, D4 players. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like life set up the way it is, right? So like,
No,
here's the
what-
organization. It's set up the way it is.
Yeah.
If you win this, you get in here.
Well, no. I'm not saying. No, I'm just saying as far as like where, you know, so NYX is in a bracket with 4 U.S. teams where all of their games are probably going to be battles.
Yeah.
Notorious, who's at 19th, they're in a bracket with a team.
Notorious 15th.
No. That was their.
That was the last.
Oh, sorry. I see what you're saying. 19th.
Yeah. So like, does that, you know, say
That certainly helps them, but
With
that's the benefit of being one extra.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
so what's your
one
point
above
though? Like
last.
that it's
I'm saying,
unlucky
like,
that
does
New York
it-
Extreme ended up with 4
yeah,
American
does that
teams?
is that going to affect, you know, with these bottom 4 teams?
Well, even if they had just ranked it all the way down, then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, then if Extreme was at the other side with the Tauntauns at 20th, so then now Extreme has to be with Dynasty, Revo, Blast Camp, and Uprising.
Yeah.
I mean, versus Impact, Ironman, Infamous, and ML Kings. And also, it's like, we say this all the time, like, we can sit here and be like, oh, we should change it so that it's this or this and that. Like, you still got to beat everybody, you know? Like, you
Yeah.
still have to... Dude, I don't know. Like, I never got too wrapped up too much into the, oh, well, we should have to play this team or like, dude, I'm only out here to try to win paintball tournaments. So
For sure.
if we can't beat these guys, if we can't get out of this bracket, like we're not going to win the tournament anyway, you know? So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, essentially everyone, like, again, like you said, no disrespect to Spider Fusion. They're heading into the deep water here in all of paintball worldwide. They have a tall order in front of them with Damage Fit, Aftermath, and Notorious. Yeah, there's a good chance they don't win one of those games because when we were looking at their roster, it was and they're from Brazil. I heard Shallows involved with them, so I'm sure they're talented. But yeah, dude, you're coming into the Lions Den here. Good luck, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
gonna
all
be tough.
those teams the last couple of years have really impressed. Remember when the Wild Dogs came in? They did better than everybody. I think that they're going to throw in. They throw in a different dynamic because it's different. That they play a different style of paintball, and it's something that you're not ready for. They might not have the best game plans. They might be the guys that choose bad gunfights, but you also might get caught off guard off of this uncharacteristic type of play. And I guarantee you they're going to be fast, they're not going to be disciplined, and they're going to be scrappy. And that's the sort of thing that, like, as long as they have the mentality of, we're not better than those guys, but the best way to beat somebody who's better and bigger than us is to catch them off guard.
Yeah, well, you
So
could
it's
also
all about
No, I agree with you. And what if it's an aggressive layout? If it's an aggressive layout, then and I'm sure they're gonna have some crazy fast dudes that are just gonna while out. But it's kind of the same thing with Dynamite because what are they 5th overall in? You know, but the Lucky 15s also got the gift last year. They came in and they were a super fun team to watch. Loved watching them.
They played
Loved
so well
watching them play.
last year. Yeah, that's them. And dude, they played so well last year.
Yeah, you know, so I was at first I saw that they were on the schedule like before they couldn't come, and I was hoping to see him again. So I'm stoked to see how, you know, what Dynamite and Spider Fusion have to offer, but you know, but it's their, you know, yeah. So it looks like we just kind of went and looked at the rankings, and maybe they picked up some new guys, maybe they've been on a crazy training, you know, schedule or whatever, but they won what they needed to win in order to, you know, check all the boxes to get to this position. But last year they played at World Cup in D3 and took second to last place, you know. So again, these are just the facts. This is what it is. And again, like, I'm sure you guys say the same things to the teams you coach. I'm like, look, dude, I'm going to give you radical honesty and harsh truths. Like, do what you want with that, you know, like, but I'm not here to waste your time. So
Just be realistic.
yeah, I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible in this situation based on what we're about to go into, because I'm not going to, you know, give you a false sense of confidence. Like, I want you to be, you know, it's like confident about things, but you need to work on this, you know, for in practice, whatever. But it's just kind of, so I don't know. I mean, yes, if you have Spider Fusion, but that's also tricky too, because if you're Damage, Fit, Aftermath, or Notorious, and you have Spider Fusion in your bracket, and they do find a way to beat you, that might be the end of your season. You know. So
that's right.
I don't know. We'll see. But So we know with Legion and X Factor X Factor with 2 finals appearances, Legion with 2 wins in a row. But I want to see what Heat has here, man, at Cup, man. Like, Heat has risen to the occasion. They won 2 World Cups in a row. It's been a frustrating year for them because they keep making Sundays, but they're having a real hard time winning games on Sundays. It's a badass roster. And then now they're going to get the, because of their consistency, they get the gift. Yeah, so it's I don't know, man. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Heat and what they have to bring at Cup, because they're a legendary team, and a lot of that legend comes from what they've been able to do at World Cups.
I think a big piece for Heat too is when you look at Major League Paintball stats of the player ratings overall, which is just based on tournaments played, and your outcome at tournaments, is the top 2 people are Mishka and Fedorov.
Yeah,
I think that's a big factor too for Heat at World Cup. Is like, I don't feel like we saw much of Fedorov and Heat the last event on the field. So if you get those guys playing consistent,
the most legendary World Cup players ever that don't play on Dynasty, yeah, for sure,
then
100%.
You get a different beast.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for World Cup as always. I just hope the weather is not a factor.
Yeah.
You don't have to live through another hurricane.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But,
knock on some wood.
It's funny. I saw Kyle Breathe. Delmont goes, "It's my first World Cup. What should I expect?" Kyle Breathe goes, "Bring an umbrella."
Oh no.
Well, just before we sign off, Ryan, I know you got to go. I got to go too. But who's everyone? Who are you playing next couple weeks?
So we've got this weekend. We're going to be at ASG against Aftermath. Just kind of knocking off the rust, getting back in the groove of things. We got Pop's Tacos coming out on Saturday or Sunday to make some tacos. So Max, you want to come up? We're going to roll through and get some tacos. And then we've got we'll be flying out Wednesday. I gotta figure out missing Halloween, which is a really big deal here. In the Greenspan family with a 5-year-old, but we're gonna be headed out to X Factor against Impact and X Factor.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah.
We'll just tell Camille that Daddy's got to go earn.
Yeah, I
this
did.
is your profession, bro.
He's been trying.
Yeah, she doesn't. It's I'm Peter Pan in the whole theme of things. Sloane's Tinkerbell. She's got a thing. We got the twins. They're the Lost Boys. Camille, I think it might be Captain Hook or Shmi. I'm not sure what she is.
Wasn't Peter Pan like he just did whatever he wanted?
That's what I'm saying.
So maybe Peter Pan doesn't want to show up to Halloween.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I want to show up for Halloween. I also don't want to lose World Cup. And if I show up for Halloween, I miss 2 days of practice. And the bummer is, Josh pointed out that Halloween will just progressively get closer and closer into that weekend as every year goes. So if anybody out there is in San Diego or would like to come out to San Diego and just fill in I'm just going to tape an iPad to your face, and then I'll just walk around.
Just give him one of your HORMESIS headbands. I'm sure we could get somebody to do that, bro.
You get your doppelganger. I feel like there is one person out there.
It looks a lot like me. There's a couple guys, yeah.
Yeah. Fly man.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Good show.
Also, I've got some prizes. We're gonna I gotta get it all on the side here. So we got some prizes. I see that Lord's hat. Let's give that Lord's hat away. Shout out to the Lords who just won. Also, Vic Gamboa is going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on In the Pits podcast. So make sure you guys tune into that. He says he's got some big news that he didn't tell me about that he's going to be dropping. So he's got some juicy news dropping next week.
He's starting to run the pits for damage.
He's pitting for Diesel.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, we got all those hats. We got a bunch of good hats.
These are new ones too.
Yeah, those are dope, Kyle. That one that you're wearing is by far my favorite hat you've made.
Oh, you made
this? Yeah, all embroidered.
Yeah, when are those dropping?
I think I'll put them up this week. If not, next week.
Can you
make
some?
You can get them at World Cup. Yeah, Billy Casey. We'll try to
get
Brian Deegan just filling for me. We also
I
got
feel
that
like you
Pate
can just
Smith
fly now.
collab hat or shirt.
I mean,
that
if
we
I
got
do that for a
away.
couple weeks, it'll flatten out a little bit, but the other one's a little flatter.
This one.
So the Pate Smith, thank you for the support. Oh, that one's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big shout out to our sponsors, Junior and Gina over at BFPGear.com. Make sure you guys do all your online shopping. Buy some Gen X pods from BFPGear.com. Pate Smith. I saw that Mouse was wearing that creator shirt.
Yeah.
The NECTR boys, Arfon, and Gen X Global. Everybody whose name you see in green, shout out to everybody who's supports the show. Billy Casey, Geoff, Chris Saptelli, Pasta. Geoff is a new Mega Support status member. So yeah, we got some cool wheels. I'm gonna spin the wheel and I'll throw it up in the community section. And if you guys win, and as always, make sure that we have your guys' addresses.
Yeah, that's
There's
tight.
a lot of people who win. We don't have your addresses.
Love that design.
Other than that,
Yeah,
we'll
it's
see you
kinda
next
good.
Tuesday.
Looks like a Japanese wood print.
Yeah.
Looks like a Japanese wood print. It's dope.
Yeah, those are some good hats, man. Really cool
Yeah, it's pretty
hats.
sold out. Pretty much sold out
And
of
you
them.
need to make a
WC.
dad hat so I can wear one.
Some dad hats, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't work. Like those hats don't. They push my ears out. My head's not big enough. It's a weird thing. I need the dad hat action. So, Chris
Well-
Allman Dinger. All right, guys. Well, thanks. Good work, Kyle. Maddie,
Thank you.
always a pleasure. We'll have to schedule you right after World Cup to give us the rundown.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that, and I'm trying to get the first episode of this history podcast I've been working on for a while done. So hopefully that'll be out by that time too.
You gotta get a bunch of them in the can first.
These are big projects, bro. No, that's not happening. Second I'm done with episode 1, I'm just gonna put it out, and then I'll work on. I already have the story for episode 2, but this is like a massive fuck ton of work. So I'm not going to put a ton in the can.
Just I don't know if you just haven't picked up on it from listening to Maddie talk on our show and other times, and him just kind of off the cuff talking about the different portions of the brain, which is that and the universe are the two hardest things to even fathom, wrap your head around, that no one's ever even been able to unlock. He's probably one of the smartest people I know, and is a treasure trove of has lived in the way that he said it earlier about books, 1 million different lives. The amount of books that he reads.
Well, thanks, Kyle, because since you don't suffer any fools, anything I get for you that's positive or from you, I'm stoked on, because I appreciate that.
Dude, I give out compliments all the time, you know? Kyle.
All right.
Giusto, Guisto.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for the support. So I'll spin a wheel and I'll get some names and some prizes out as soon as I'm home on Thursday.
All right. Till next week, everyone.
Yeah, boys.
Peace.
Hit it. Run it.
Boom.
Hit it.